So for the GoHoBot electric blades, this is the electricity on the blades. I added a small touch of like glowing around those blades, so they look like they are charged with electricity, not just having the lightning elements going on. But you can perceive the lightning from far away also, so you know they are charged, and it's color coded. So like blue is the highest of electric type elements. So it's dangerous. You've got a couple different details. You've got the super fast electric discharges around the blade, and the other slower ones. But that adds up to the feeling of like lighting happening, and yeah, just like in nature, you've got like slower lighting balls that last for a couple seconds, and then the other super fast ones that you can even perceive. So yeah, I feel like it's working pretty nicely. And that's the electric blades for the GoHoBot. Starting off with AkuraBot Attack Melee 1, which is just a slight effect for distortion and air. So it's like noticeable that he attacked, but you know, it's not like sci-fi or anything like that. It's just accompanying and giving power to the attack itself. And this is the O2, the other attack, which is like a lateral swing. But you can see like there's the swing of the shield. So yeah, this is the melee attacks. And then here for the fire ones, which is like firing the gun with that type of bluish laserish plasma energy. Then projectile should be this one, which is like along the lines of the laser reference I shared from Star Wars, but not quite Star Wars. You can see when it's in movement, it's leaving the trail behind, which is difficult to pause. But when this is moving, it's you know, you can pause the video, I guess, but you'll be seeing how it looks. I feel like it's gonna look great. It fits the barrel, so it shuts, goes forward, and then whenever it stucks into something, there's a stuck, and it loses energy up until it disappears. I make it like 3 seconds in that sense. So whenever it hits like the player, I guess this should spawn like attached to the player, maybe the chest bone, or you know, yeah, so some other along. Yeah, I think the chest bone would work nicely because of the height of the shot, maybe. But yeah, if not, if there's like another surface, it will just get stuck there, and yeah. This would get mixed with the, for example, if it hits ReSetna, it's gonna have like the heat effect also playing on top. So yeah, those would be the effects for the AkuraBot.
Okay, so this is the first test for the boiling water bubbles for Acidia pools. So it gives this extra layer of complexity to the acid pools, but without adding more and more and more effects. Still, adding the effects adds a lot, you know, because yeah, but you can get away with pretty much super low quantity of effects on screen. So yeah, you can see the difference. This is without, and this is with the effects. So you can see some of the extra bubbles here and here going out, and the vapors and whatnot. But without it, it's also nice in that sense. It's physically like impossible to make it look like bubbles that are going around like the exact reference. Just because, like, you know, there's actually not a way to simulate like actual spheres or bubbles like floating and whatnot. But I came as close as I could to that type of look, to that type of surface that is actually boiling. So there's like noise going around, the bubbles appear, some parts, some others don't. So essentially it's like simulating that, like at least giving the vibe of something moving fastly and boiling and whatnot. So also the bubbles are like, yeah, there's a lot of parameters, but like this is just for now for testing. So for example, you've got the background color, so it's like the background of the bubbles kind of color. Then there's the emissiveness of the bubbles, so you can make them, you know, super emissive. Maybe you'd want that result, not sure, but like, yeah, there's this capability here. You can change the yeah, the actual bubbles lookup table, so maybe making them other colors just as you wish, but yeah, gonna leave them at this greenish color for now. Then we've got you know, lookup table parameters such as scale, offset, and whatnot. So yeah, it kind of changes the look a bit of it. And yeah, you can just test this stuff around, but yeah, I was liking those results before. And then yeah, there's also like the speed of the boiling and the size of the bubbles, so everything can be adjusted. So for example, these bubbles are more like uh, smaller, but these ones are bigger. So yeah, depending on what kind of look we are aiming for, we're gonna get one or the other. This for the other details. So yeah, you'll see the deformation, the strength. So it's more like, no deformation at all, just bubbles, but that's super static. So yeah, just like adding more noise to it, more like violence to that. Strength of the other noise maps. So yeah, you can see the effect that this is doing on the bubbles. So everything is adjustable. So yeah, and the speed, which will make everything go crazy. So I wouldn't touch that. And the speed of the boiling. This one makes it more violent even, but yeah, said we shouldn't like go too over the top with that. It's just a detail. So yeah. And well, yeah, that's mostly that. There's a lot of stuff involved going around here. I tried like achieving something that looks like boiling, but we can't really do like the actual boiling geometry reference that we've got. But that's why we need those extra effects that come in handy. In the end, they are like geo, so it's way better to have those. So yeah, but combination of everything looks great, I think, and fits really well into the acid pool thing. So yeah, let me know what you think. Okay, so the way to change the bubble and the vapor colors, it's really simple. You can do it per prefab, or you can change the prefab in the scene, but don't save it. So what I mean by that is that, for example, if you want to change the bubbles, you can come here to the bubbles object here, and you can see that this is using color over lifetime. So for example, these ones, if I want to change the color of them, I can change the color via the lifetime or just select one color. So yeah, you can switch it to whichever color you want in a sense. So for example, blue at the beginning and I don't know, red at the end. So you'll see the change here. Okay, so yeah, this is based in the particle color. So it should be easy to adjust. You can leave it as white or whichever color you want. And also what I mean by don't apply, you'll see that there is this bar here, which means some changes have been made to this prefab. If you go to overrides, you can apply or revert, but don't touch that. So you can place them around the scene as one prefab, but then modify it and not save it. If you save it, it's gonna mess up all the other ones. I'm sure you already know that, but I'm just pointing out just in case. Okay. So for this new edges shader, which is the static version in that sense, this one, sorry, you'll see this is the static. It's optimized, a bit more optimized. So yeah, it's not moving around that much. I made it so it's still moving somehow because I wanted it to feel like a water mass, like a water volume. Especially if it's acid, it won't move that much, but like you'll see like there's some kind of movement to it, which makes it way better. And then for the foam here, you can change the color here with this DF border color. So this is the one. You can adjust colors here, as you can see, but it changes everywhere. You can set the distance to be more or less, but yeah, just like this should be fine. Keep in mind that this is using depth fade, so if you search, like if you see from another angle, it will be more or less affecting that. But yeah, and so yeah, you can adjust the intensity of slots and whatnot. You can adjust everything pretty much here. You can make the dark oil change color too, so you can see like this is a patch of dark oil in that sense. So yeah, you can see this is dark oil, this is dark oil, this is dark oil. So you can switch this to be any other color. All right, so maybe like darkish green in this sense, or maybe more blue. This is up to you. And yeah, you can see like the difference it makes now. It's like oily, more like, yeah, like that. If you take the camera away, this is due to the height fog. So yeah, but the real color is this one. It's like this dark blue color here. You can change it to any other one, set. So that should be good to go. All right. So yeah, something like that, or whatever you want. And yeah, mostly that's the thing. And with the vapor, same with the vapor, you can go to the vapor columns and change the color here also. And yeah, again, don't save this, don't apply this, and that should be fine. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Okay, so here are the attacks adjusted. They should be living inside the VFX from the player prefab X parent, and then here, position, scale, everything like that. So default. So yeah, one of the things that X in air, I also adjusted this one, and I placed it inside player center instead of X parent because like it was not positioned properly. So yeah, I set that to be player center instead. But you can see here, those are the X1, 2, 3 and X in air. So you can see that from different angles. For one and two, I only see or feel like one of the slashes happening. Like it seems like those two swords, like only one of them is working, right? So the attack just happens with one of them. And for X3, seems like there's the two of them, and it has the slashes. So it's just happening, 2-2 and 2-2, like back. The attack that comes forward at the end is more powerful, just a bit more powerful, having that bit of effect. And yeah, they didn't really get to touch any of the other ones, although I tried something, but as I don't know, like the Naginata and Saber, so yeah, it's kind of different from the spear we had before, and didn't want to mess anything up. So yeah, there's those effects. Just feel free to hook them up and let me know if everything is working. Right, so for ReSetna's adjusted attacks, here in the VFX test scene, there's the player adjust plays. So there's the axe adjustments, saber, and Naginata spear. Also the ranged ones and the air version of the ranged ones. So if I enable and disable the players, you'll see overall, all the animations have now the respective attacks for the both the melee, ranged, air, all the animations are there. So yeah, feel free to check them out. Should work pretty nicely. I'm just spawning the VFX on the VFX side of stuff. So VFX, and there's that. So it should be relatively easy to implement, and it's timed out. So yeah, and then there's the projectiles. So for example, this is the projectile loop for the axe. So you can see it's like the one in the reference that you sent. I'm guessing you'll be seeing it from this side or even this side. So yeah, it's oriented, so it's a bit tilted through that way, since it's a 2D plane. But I feel like it works great in that sense. It's like that looping X motion. Then there's the dissipate, so whenever it dissipates, so it doesn't reach anything. It's also similar to the reference. It kind of dissipates into this energy type of rings. And then we've got this one, which is like the reference you sent, but without the ice stuff. So essentially, yeah, those would be moving across the scene. You can see there's those sparks that will be also moving in the world. It's not moving here, but yeah, you can just imagine how it's gonna work. Should work also nicely on that sense. You can also see sparks going around here. And then for the Naginata, this one is more more solid type of spike, like energy spike. But you can see there's this type of spear, energy flowing through that. So yeah, it's a combination of the same length of the whole weapon, the whole sphere, but it's got a more solid inwards bit there, some spike, and then the other energy flowing around. And yeah, this will be traveling essentially through the air, like so. But yeah, let's just test that out and see how everything fits together. But I feel it's gonna work nicely. So yeah, here are all the new player adjustments. So yeah. So this is for Sola 9 Death. So it's kind of like exploding in different bits of the robot, and then it just stays in flames, and the smoke column appears on top of that. And yeah, that's using the just spawning. You need to spawn those around Sola, so that should be inside the bones. So as you can see, it's here, it's here. So that should be placed inside the bones and activated somehow whenever the Sola death happens. In that sense, so that would be the proper way to activate those. But yeah, you can see like it's like, yeah, something like that. I don't know if that's supposed to be I don't know, like a bigger explosion of sorts. Let me know if that's the case. But like it makes sense for it to like break in different spots with short circuits and electricity elements also, because it's also a robot. And yeah, and for the oil dripping and whatnot, that wasn't like really. I tried some stuff, but it wasn't like really visible, or like it didn't have like time for it to show off. So I just remove it for simplification purposes. I mean, I can always add that kind of like puddle of oil that grows coming from here that I mentioned a couple weeks ago. But like, yeah, I feel like this should be great enough to convey the death of Sola. But yeah, feel free to let me know. So for the Sola slams, this would be the slam ground 1, which is the hands slam on the floor. It's the one we had before, but a bit more adjusted to it. So I made it based on the hands on the floor animation. So it should be perfect in that sense, in terms of space and range and whatnot. So I guess it's okay. Then this is the number 2, which is the whole body slam. So it's it's got like all the range from the arm to arm. So that one should be great too. And then this one is for the slam rock down, which is essentially this one, which is bigger. So it's covering all this space. So it's mostly like 2 Solas, one next to the other, maybe. So yeah, that's the size of the concept art. But yeah, I mean, it's essentially, you need to know that this is a slam, so the elements and everything stay pretty much the same, and also by scale, like they're staying the same. You can see those, by the way, down here, but you won't see those because they will be under the ground. So yeah, don't worry about those. And yeah, but still, even if they are under the ground, it makes sense to have this, as like this rock has been shambling and yeah, dust is coming off of it. I don't know, but like, yeah, you're missing that. And yeah, so this is the range for the other one, essentially, like the slam rock down.
Okay, so here are the multiple Sola 9 trails, now accurate and aligned with the looks of Sola's attacks. So let's start for the dig out and this is slam in the ground. So as you can see, it's both couple of movements, so up and down, like such. And yeah, it's following the hands properly and everything. So the way to spawn those, most of those, is just, as you can see here, inside those examples, just having the VFX being inside Sola 9 character. So they will spawn at 000 in that sense. And they will play automatically with the kind of timing of the animation. So we don't need to hook up any other things, just play this along with the animation and it should work nicely. Also with the orientation and everything. So yeah, for the other ones, this is the swipes. So you can see like they've got like kind of different animations, one on the other, left and right. So yeah, the timing had to be like also adjusted to that. But it's mostly a swirly type of thing. It's not really that violent compared to the other ones. It's more like kind of slow swipe in that sense. So yeah, that's why that's like that. Here's the slide, as this one is going to be used while sliding the character from one side to the other, like side jump. Instead of using like meshes for the precise trails, just attached a couple of trays to the hands. So we would need to activate those separately. So you can see they are living here in the left ball axillary joint and the right axillary joint. And so both of those will just will need to be activated and deactivated in the hands when the jump to the side animation happens, or else it won't happen. And this will need to be mixed, this swipe, with the sidestep left prefab, which is this one, which contains like the air and ground debris and everything. So we should need to activate this prefab on 000 on the character when this animation plays, and then having the trails also activate and deactivate when the animation stops happening. So yeah, it will end up looking like this. But if you move like the character while that's happening, so it will be like, yeah, the trails will be following and everything, so that will work properly in that sense. Then yeah, for the other, the swipes, swipe high, which yeah, just needs that, and has also like kind of dust puffs going around, also like kind of dusting off the concrete debris and everything that's on the robot. And then here's the low one, which yeah, obviously gets some debris up as the arms start kind of up, but then they kind of go inwards a bit. So yeah, that's why it's like coming in also, because like the motion of the arms is not staying on a single spot, but they are coming in slowly. So yeah, but taming wise and scale wise and color wise, everything should be nice in that sense. It's also spawning some debris. You can see that falling through here, but that doesn't really matter because like the player won't be seeing that. But yeah, at least you're getting like some debris bouncing in. And yeah, it doesn't make sense to have like 1,000 debris bouncing, because like collisions and everything will be really expensive. So yeah, that's mostly Sola new attack trails, and should be good to go. Let me know if in implementation, like maybe in the scene, kind of looks a bit brighter, perhaps. Not sure, but yeah, just test it out and let me know how everything is working.
For the robot generic effects, we've got the stun, which is those shock waves that slowly dissipate like heat waves coming from the spine outwards. So it's got this kind of stun paced. I don't know, like if this is the real animation that's going to be happening while the stun is there, instead of like another stun animation like looping or something. But yeah, I guess that would be the effect on top. So you'd perceive that this is stunned and this is locked, and you can really attack it because it's not going to attack you in that sense. So this is for the wound. So when you hit the robot, you wound it. It's got this slash type of hit impact glow that you mentioned on the reference. Couple different sparks, one which are more dense and the others faster and expand more outwards and dissipate faster. Also some robot parts colliding with the environment and going out randomly, so they are not the same each time, and sometimes you will be seeing more or less depending on randomness completely, and also the smoke factor dissipating also slowly after the hit. So yeah, it's pretty noticeable for a hit. So even if you're pretty far away, that's some feedback you're getting and really looks like you hit something. And even if you're really close, you'll see detail, you'll see everything, but it's not noisy. It's not super clustered. So that could be like 10 enemies at the same time being hit. I don't know, but like you would be perceiving like the hit as something impactful, but not overdoing it, which I feel like it's really important. And then for the death, that has a couple different passes. One is the fact that the blue sparks are representing like ReSetna weapon hitting, so it's harder. So it's got this directional that first comes out, with robot parts always coming in great chunks. Then we've got like these type of particles, like sparks that float out like pretty fastly, like it's about to burst. And then we've got like 2 or 3 timing impacts, which really bring everything together. So it's like anticipating that, hey, like first you see like a big hit, then it's kind of anticipating for 0.3 seconds, and then it kind of explodes like boom, like you just killed the enemy, which feels really great. Like the shockwave even like kind of slowly expands at first. You can see it coming out like in this way, and then bam, it quickly expands, and then there's like an aftermath shockwave too, which is like a couple waves of distortion, which gives really more detail to it. Also with the smoke and the other like big sparks coming out. So I feel like it's really visual. It's really like out there, but we'll have to test, and we have to check if this is too much maybe, or it's any other implementation to it. But I feel like it's working pretty nicely overall. So yeah, let me know what you think. For the electric projectiles that come with the electric charge, these are the projectiles. I made it like in my own type of style, respecting the style of the game, obviously. But like, so in the concept, it was kind of blurry, just a blurry idea. So I made it into something more kind of like a projectile of electric energy, and it's got electricity following around, small sparks, and it's kind of flashy. So it's kind of looking electric overall. It's got the size, a big size, because like on the concept they were also like big sized. So you can see that if I move it around, this will be a game object that will have to be moving around in a like by programming manner, because like there's no way to spawn this in a particle system and make it go like touch the floor and then spawn the patch. It doesn't like there's no current way to also have detection for like damaging or anything like that. So that would need to be like a prefab that would need to be moved in programming, and then when it moves, it leaves this trail around. It will be leaving the trail both ways, but doesn't matter, because since it will be only going one way, that would be nice. So yeah, you can see depending on the speed, it's gonna leave a longer or shorter trail. But yeah, you won't even like see them that much on screen, since I guess they would just go like that, like should come up and then coming down into the floor. And then when they hit the floor, for example, they will be hitting the floor here. And then what would need to happen would need to be like they spawn these electric patch, which is essentially like the damage over time for the electricity. I made it so it's looping, same as the projectile. And it's currently infinitely looping, so we would need to deactivate this whenever design team wants. So maybe like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, I don't know the exact time. So that's why I haven't made it in the sense that it doesn't stop looping, but like the patch is there at floor level. Ideally, you wouldn't find it like on the air, so it doesn't spawn here, because that would cause like this to happen, you know? Like it's I made it so it's kind of has something at the bottom, but you won't be able to see properly like the area of effect and stuff like that, and it would kind of look weird if it's floating in the air, right? So just keep it there. I made it kind of violent and electric, and so there's a clear indicator for the area that will damage you, just because like gameplay should always be like the king, and you would need to indicate with the effects what is going to happen if you step in there. I think it's pretty clear that you will get electrified and like damaged because like of all the violent electricity going around and flashes and whatnot. So it doesn't look like it's gonna, I don't know, like heal you, or if it's gonna boost you or anything like that. It's just more violent and electric. It will hit you. So yeah, that's the thing that it's mostly conveyed with that. There's gonna happen like once, when this happens, the projectile hits, it's gonna have this beam of light happening too. Around, so you'll know that has just happened more intensely in that sense. And so yeah, that's the kind of the combination of the area of effect and the projectile that will happen after the barrier charges and then shoots the projectiles, and some hit the floor. And yeah, and that's mostly that for the electric things. Hi team, so I'm gonna be sharing a series of quick videos displaying the effects and the needs for the effects for the borrower. So the ground trail, this one should be also at the same vertical level that the borrower is in that sense. So when you activate it, it's looping always. Okay, so we need to activate and deactivate it. Not this one, this is just for display purposes. This is not emitting anything, so this is not a real particle system, but it needs to be there. Scale, same with scale. This is looping, but it doesn't really matter that it's looping because it's not emitting anything. And these are looping. All of these are looping. So we should activate and deactivate depending on if you want to leave the trail or not. So when you play it and then drag, it's just going to be dependent on the movement. So if there's no movement, no particles are going to be spawned there. So yeah, as you can see, like there's debris going around, and then if you move fast, it's going to respect that. So yeah, everything has got inertia to it, and it's got just concrete going up here and then goes down slowly. But yeah, we can adjust the timings on the concrete if we want to leave it for longer or whatever. So yeah, you'll see that this is directional too, but ideally this will happen in just this plane here and won't go vertically, because if it goes vertically, it's kind of strange. And if it goes back and forth, it could also go back and forth. But yeah, let's just keep that, I guess, at this level. So it will be following the borrower prefab, and yeah, so it will be following it in this edge here. Then for the ground out, so this will be displayed when the borrower goes out. So it's also giving that one hole and then some debris going around. It's not as intense as explosion of debris or anything like that, but it's like some debris to it, just as a detail. And yeah, you can see some debris inside and this ring outside, which is kind of more fixed. This for the ground in. So the ground in gives this trail of light, and so this light kind of makes it look like the borrower is going down and just disappearing. So it's light, but it's accompanied with a bit of noise, so it's kind of more cool this way. It's not just a beam of light. Like there's the part of the cylinder of light, but yeah, it's also got the other energy feeling to it, so it's kind of better. Looks great. I left it for 5 seconds to disappear to the hole, and then the light goes away in 3 seconds. We can adjust that for sure, but this is just gonna play once and that's it. Same with the ground out and ground in. This is the ground circles, which is when the borrower kind of tries to make the hole again. So it's gonna just spin for 3 seconds. So you can see it's following this motion here. So going from a clockwise direction, we can edit the clock or like the clock direction if it needs to be embedded. That's also nice. We can also do that. But let me know, because in this case, I'll just create a version for that. As you can see, the concretes are not all hitting the floor. Like some of them are, the others are not, because that would be really costly in terms of performance. So they're falling just through, but I think you would never see those go through because there's going to be like the floor and you will see the borrower here, because the borrower will never be living in a platform like this, because it doesn't make sense for the borrower to be going through here and then floating around in the air. I don't know, but like, yeah, you won't be perceiving that, those at the bottom. The debris are yet missing some of the metal bits and parts, because I just wanted to like have the more generic version of it first, so it can be applied to the other environments and whatnot. But like, yeah, we can add some metal pieces floating around and going through the air and such. You can see not all of the trails leave, like not all of the debris leave the train behind, because if not, it was gonna get like pretty noisy real fast. So I just left it as is. So yeah, and then that's just 3 seconds. Let me know if that needs to be adjusted to any other seconds. I just did it arbitrarily, so there's no real kind of timing there. And that should just spawn, in terms of spawning, it should just spawn there at the position of the borrower, like same, the floor position, and doesn't need to go this way or this way really. So just spawning it in the place where the animation will happen. So if the borrower doesn't move while that's happening, that's in that sense, like you will have the borrower prefab here, and then the borrower will be moving the animation, but it would not be moving the effects themselves. Okay, so the effects would be just there, and that's that. And say for the ground in and ground out, that should happen at floor level where the borrower is. So that should just happen once there, spawn there in the world, and say for that one. So yeah, this is for the ins and outs, and now I'll be showing you the rest. So for the electric charge state, we've got all these different systems inside of these bones here. So if I play this, you see that there's kind of like electric energy flowing in. We could also make it so they are not activated all at the same time. So maybe there's one active and the other ones are not active. But at this moment, I just made it like that. So it kind of looks like a bit like it's charging a lot more energy. You can see it from a distance. It's emitting light, so it will be kind of glowy at the end. If I pause, you can see like this is just a bunch of electricity going inside those antennas here, like those blue things. And yeah, it just like that. And there's also electricity going around this ring, and also electricity going from one side to the other. So for example, you'll find sometimes there's, instead of the whole ring electricity, there's specific electricity coming from this one to this one. So it's kind of like, yeah, just being conscious of where's the electricity going from and to. But yeah, and then once you rotate those bones, I don't think it's going to work with the bones in the mesh, but like it will follow that. And since it's a hard edged character, so those will stick to that and doesn't really affect the effects themselves. So they will be following whatever position he's having for the charge. So for the power sparks, I made it really sparsely. So you'll find that sometimes you'll see those power sparks coming from the top, the bottom, or one of those. They can happen at the same time, but they will likely happen at different times because it's just kind of random where it spawns. It's like the energy flowing all across the body. Sometimes it leaks from one place, sometimes it leaks from the other. I haven't really made it so it's like powered up all the time, like coming from all the places at the same time. But let me know if that's the idea. That's something also doable. But like this will loop all the time. This is looping. So you don't see it looping here because, as I said, this is just for display purposes. But if you come here to the handler, you'll see that's looping, and it doesn't matter because it's not rendering or emitting. It's just this one, in this case, power sparks, which is looping and has like a probability of 20% to spawn. And same for the other. The head 2 is just like the other ones. Then there's the sparks, trail, and the other tail one. So these two tails is this and this one. And the head is, one is the top and one is the bottom. So that's the power sparks. I haven't added any like extra sparks on top. I just kept it close to the concept art, but like I didn't want to go super noisy with that. I feel like that's already kind of noisy and already conveys like the powered up thing. So I kept it quite optimized like that. Now with the borrower states, we've got wound, which will be spawning inside the head shield bone, and this particle system will be looping. This doesn't matter, the looping here or any of these settings here matter if you don't see any render nor emission. This is just for the particle system to play if you select the whole prefab. Same with this one, okay? So it doesn't matter if it's looping or not, it's not gonna affect anything in that sense, so keep it in mind. These are the holders, which could essentially, well, they essentially right now are spawning those systems in different places. So you'll see there's one there, okay? So this handler is just moving those around the head, so it fits that, and yeah, that's nice. So if I play this, you see like it's displaying like these wanted states, like the circuits are malfunctioning or the gears are like broken in that sense. I kept it pretty close to the concept, and so they're not playing at the same time, like they're not bursting out at the same time that much. It happens sometimes, but not all the time. So I gave randomness to it. Also, if you want to like tone down any of those, let me know so we can make it like less intense here, for example, or more intense in the other places or whatnot. But this would only need to be, well, this is looping, right? Those holders here are looping. So these are spawning and creating all those other particle systems. So if you want to deactivate it, just to stop emitting, and that will be enough. So this can technically live inside the, can live here, like deactivate it. And whenever you want to just activate and play the particles, and then when you want to stop that, if it's ever going to be stopped, because I don't think that once you enter this, it's going to be stopped, but like just stop it. Or like instead of stopping the whole emitter, just reduce the emission to 0. So like here you can set this to 0, I guess. This is giving, during this loop period, some spawn probability. So it will always spawn like at the end, always. So it's kind of assuring that it's going to happen. But like it's got a 20% possibility to spawn during the other 5 seconds. So yeah, that's the kind of way the wound is handled. So it just needs to live here and be played whenever that's needed. Okay, so let's start with the charge attack. This one is the charge. This one is the charge queue. So you know that it's ready. This actual spawner is just for testing. So this is the actual loop. Should be spawned in the player center, but a bit upwards, like 0.5. Just because like if it's on the chest, it's a bit offset. So yeah, I guess that's the one, because like, you're going to be moving freely whilst charging too. But yeah, it's noticeable that you're charging. Also, then that's the ready. Like, okay, like it's positive. It doesn't feel like an impact or something. Like it feels like energy, like, you know, being fulfilled. Like everything is ready to be discharged. And then here's the discharge, which is kind of big. But yeah, it's like the references is like a slide. Let me just pause it quickly. So you can see like this is going to be spawned in world space, and so ReSetna would spawn the effect there, but then move across like the traveling. Let's say it ends around here. So this would be like located at the very same spot, like during those frames and everything. And then this can be scaled using the handler. Also can be scaled by distance and whatnot, so should be good. But I guessed like the approximate distance that it would be traveling in that sense. So yeah, and also like the small debris that will collide with the environment, the other particles, distortions. So yeah, it's kind of fast-paced and not so exaggerated as the ones in the references, but you feel like it's a slice happening. So yeah, let me know if we should adjust anything from here. Okay, so this is the material mixer graph that I made in Designer. It's easy to use. So you would import the bitmaps here, just drag and drop an image here and set that to link, and you will see the bitmap. So this is the texture, for example. This would be the AO. Metallic, I'm using just this node here, which is giving you uniform color. So you can set this to white or black or whatever, just pure color. And using that for metallic, so it's 0 because we don't want any metallicness into the texture, final texture. So it would be like that. AO, just the AO map, pretty easy. And roughness is white, which means like it's gonna be rough in that sense overall in all the material. Alpha, keep it at 1 in that sense. Just let's keep the alpha at 1. Okay, we don't need to use this one, but this is using RGB-A, which is also the alpha. Just keep that at 1 just for good measure. You would only need to change those, and this can also apply for the curvature highness, which I can do right now, so you guys know. So this would be curvature. This would be thickness, and this would be the height. So essentially it's just doing the exact same, the same procedure. And here it's gonna get everything into 248 by 248, which is high res for texture. But if you want to set that down, you can click here and say absolute, and then it will be lower. So you can set this to 9 for 512 or 512, or which other one do you want. So it's pretty easy to use in that sense. And yeah, from here you just grab this, click this button here, and you will save the image. I save VFX images as Targa files because it's kind of better, but like you can use, PNGs or whatever you want. And it's pretty easy. Yeah, I said just grab the proper map here, connect it to this, and it should be good to go. Okay, so this is for the otherworldly dark dimension thing that we mentioned. It's got some different layers to it. It's like 3 layers or something like that. I made it so it's like kind of a mineral, like material, instead of just being like a dimensional rift or something like that. It's got a surface glitter like this, like it's glittering in the surface like some precious stones, and also has a pattern in the color at the top. You can also see purple reflections when you look at an angle, so it will be getting colored when you're looking at an angle. You can also switch that one. It's this one here, the Bordeaux color. So if I set this to be orange, it's going to be more orange when I move around. You can set this to whichever one you want. But yeah, just purple for now. And then there's this pattern that you could see that's going through, like it's like noises in the background, but it's like you are seeing through into another dimension in that sense. It's kind of respecting the screen space stuff. So if I was to duplicate this and move it around and just set it, I don't know, like in a couple different places, yeah, you'd be seeing that the same texture is going across all of those. So you will feel like, there's another dimension before that. So you can see that the shared image, the shared pattern, it's kind of subtle, but like you can see it in the background going on. So yeah, it's more noticeable if there's more stuff and not just one, and this is just a test mesh. So that's not going to be with final meshes. But yeah, we can also exaggerate that a bit more. You can see that there's another noise on top, like besides the other dimensional thing. It's going at the same time for each of the materials. We can randomly offset it so it's different in all the materials too. So in that sense, we won't have that synced up for every material, which could be kind of weird, but like, yeah, that's also easily adjustable. And we can also adjust the frequency of those noises going around and, all the other stuff. So for the glittery, for example, you can, there's top texture, top color. This is for the glittery stuff on top. So yeah, this is more like stars, but you can change it to, I don't know, like golden or, any other color, purple. So it's more like void, I don't know. But you can also change the texture size. So you can make it bigger or smaller. You can make it go faster. You can make it move. So it's like moving on the surface. And it will be moving independently of the mesh. So in that sense, it will always be going through that direction. So it's kind of like, it's not based on the mesh UVs. It's based on the space in the world. So it's always going to that direction. You can see even if this is rotated, they are going into the same direction. So it's like something in another dimension is pushing them through. In that sense, like another energy flow or something like that, which is kind of nice. Then also there are lots of stuff you can adjust here for the roughness. So this is not unlit, this is lit. So it's being used as I can set this to 0. So you see this is the unlit mesh in that sense. There is reflections here. So it's like, yeah, like a stone that has these properties. You can see the reflections here. You can also adjust how those behave. So yeah, you can have more or less reflection depending on what you like the most. So you can see here, for example, yeah, this is like the stone thing. And yeah, this is for the borders, obviously. So if I'm looking at them like this, you'll see this is the border. We can adjust the power, so everything is more covered up. The scale, so how much it affects. The bias, so it's kind of always happening, not just once. And the color amount is the intensity, basically. So let's leave it at like that. The BG amount, this is 0. Okay, this is better. So yeah, you can better see now the pattern here and the overall type of other dimension thing. If I go close and back, you'll see the pattern. Sometimes you don't see it that much because it's like going through the screen. Like there's some space there with some like nebulas around. But yeah, that's the shape pattern. You can better see it now in that sense. You can also adjust that one. So it's this one, this background texture. You can set this to be like, for example, bigger. And most of the time you'll be seeing like darkness, like not seeing the pattern. So it's more subtle in this sense. But you can also make it bigger. I mean, smaller in that aspect, and you'll see more of those patterns there. And it's more obvious that this other dimension is happening around. It's also switchable for the lookup table. So you can switch the colors. With most of them, it won't work. You can see like now it's type of water thing. Yeah, like that. But for some of them, they won't work just because the way the loot is created. This one is trippy. It's like, you know, drugs or something like that. Heat map, I'm not sure. But like, yeah, we can adjust that to whichever color palette we want. Maybe for each having a different type of color palette going around. And yeah, this other thing is for the top borders, and there's the surface. So the surface lot is the one that's going through now. This one, this pattern here. You can also change it to whichever you want. Like you'll have the background be in black and white, and then the top will be like this rainbow color. So it's more like, yeah, more like different like that. We can have, you know, whichever we want also. Yeah. So in that sense, it's kind of cool that we've got control over those things at the same time. And yeah, this is mostly how we are handling that otherworldly dark dimension thing. So it would be a matter of just adjusting colors maybe, and patterns and speeds and whatnot, and having this be tested by the team to see what do you like the most, I guess. But yeah, there's that. Right, so let me show you the death explosion. I also added, as mentioned, those lines like the emissive type of lines that are in the concept. They are pretty subtle. I didn't want to, like, they were subtle also on the concept, but I didn't want to go super exaggerated with that. As you can see, they don't show up right here, but they do show up wherever it's burned. So it's like, yeah, some lines of burning appearing there. So you can see like the version, I made this version of the material, which is already done, like the burn has been completed. So yeah, you can see like if I move this, yeah, it's transforming and everything. But yeah, kept it pretty subtle and bound to the bounding boxes of the said enemy per se. So also for the explosion. Right, so that would be scaled to the size of every enemy, obviously. But in general terms, it's an explosion following the concept, but I also added elements that give it a bit more impact and like explosion feeling to it. So right here, I also like kind of liked the concept of those swirly smokes going around because like we're using that, for example, for ReSetna's death. Like you can see like the energy from ReSetna leaving the core and everything. So it's understandable that whenever a huge enemy like that happens to die, those like dark energy solars like leaving the body also, even if it's sweetly smoke. But I really like the feeling of it. Like it really conveys like death. Also took a lot of inspiration from games like Elden Ring and all the other Metroidvania titles. And you can see if I pause this, it's got like the explosion happens super fastly, expands rapidly. And also you've got like the other lingering elements, both for the smoke, and you can see some blue sparks around, like if those were like electric components like exploding on the air or disintegrating on the air. You can see some particles left over like ashes, and you know, maybe it's hard to see, but like it's because of the MIP maps and stuff like that. But if you get closer to it, you'll see it a bit more in that sense, because like, you know, it's being reduced when you take the camera away, but they're there. And so also some elements on the ground as the ones in the concept, but yeah, those could be scaled, I guess, also to the size of the enemy per se. But everything should be working nicely. for the explosion. It can be scaled, massively, but like I wouldn't do that. Yeah, we should really like take a look at it inside the game if we can. So yep, that's the explosion, the shader, and everything should be ready in that aspect. Hey, so for the dissolve effect, using the global shader as a base, because we already have like the enemies with the dissolve shader and everything. So this is Sola dies, all right? So this is Sola. For example, this doesn't have to be Sola, but can be any other enemy in which a dissolve will be applied. But let's say this is Sola. So we've got all of those blend options here. And the one that we need to animate is the top offset. So right now it's 2. But if I tone this down, you can see like it starts dissolving like that. Don't like take this as definitive. Like it's not the final look, because like you can see it's just pure black. Okay, so it's carbonized in that sense. And you can see some parts there that are not being affected. For example, the legs. And that's most likely because, I think they are affected. Yeah, they are affected. But you see like the offset is not the same for all the parts of the different bodies. But that's because like it's using like bounding boxes and stuff to control how much of it does actually dissolve. So if you set this to 2, and then let's say we test and its final dissolve is like 3 or 4, something like that. So we'd have to animate that like so. Also, I'm going to be animating the outline, so everything is more like fire-like and has like a couple lines over there as you painted in the concept art, which is cool. But yeah, you can see like everything's happening. Even the cables here, you can see like that going through the cables, which is pretty awesome. It's pretty nice. But yeah, the tech is already there. I just need to polish now. Let me know if this was the idea, which I think it was. But it's going good. And then after this, we'll be just exploding and spawning the other dark smoke particles. But yeah, let me know how you like it. But this is in a good path, so let me just polish and I'll get back to you guys. For the those electric clouds there, those are lit, so if there's any light sources, they would affect the clouds themselves, as it's a mix of smoke and then electricity going around. You can see it's like a poofy type of wispy cloud in that sense, not much like cumulonimbus type of environmental cloud in that sense. Maybe that was not the intention or what you meant with cloud for those silica plants there, but I feel like everything fits well together. I really like the movement, the dynamic of how it works. Also, if you want to scale that, for example, you can go to the hold and then just adjust the scale, which should be fine. Maybe you want it to be more like encompassing everything, or maybe just a bit more like so. So ideally, we transform it horizontally and not do it too much, because like it feels weird if we overdo that in that sense. Also, you can edit the depth, because it doesn't look like it, but I mean, it's gonna get bugged. But you can see already like there's a spike here. Shouldn't be seen that way, but there's depth to it. So in that sense, this particle could be like existing a bit more backwards, like so, but you would be encompassing also those plants in the foreground. So it's more like it has depth to it, but it's still optimized. I'm keeping like low-end devices on into account, and since this is like a particle that's always looping, it's always gonna be there. I wanted to keep everything pretty simple, and then these other glitches, lighting charges, sparks and everything going on. So you can see like the cloud itself has electricity vibe to it, like this kind of glitchy particles spawning all over the place. Then also some sparks because electricity, and then those lightnings you can see subtle, and it's kind of it's randomized, so in that sense you wouldn't be like looking at this specific place and then seeing one and then repetition again. So it kind of brings eye candy to it, and it's pretty nice. Also, the cloud has the depth features, obviously. So you can see like here it's coming through the mesh, but that's normal because like I said, like it has depth to it. But it's a matter of adjusting everything. So maybe you wanted the cloud to be like up here? I don't know. Like my interpretation was that it was going to be like around where the plants were, as like a toxic type of fume electric thing going on around. Let me know if this was the intent, if you like it, if we need to adjust, like the shapes or timing or anything. But I feel like it works pretty nicely. You can really see like repetitions or patterns or anything. It's pretty randomized. So yeah, let me just know. So for the whole like full screen particle effect that the glitches that are inspired by Near Automata, which is pretty great. I've got this thing going on, which is let me just see if I can pause it at the exact. Yeah, so this is the first frame, which is the most intense. You can see the material is already animated because it's always refreshing. But if I disable always refresh, that'll be the first frame, and then it's got randomness to it. So in that sense, it also has this like intensity fall off happening, and depending on the time, which is also random, has those artifacts in which you can see like variations in the chromatic aberration, the intensity, the patterns that happen. So it's pretty glitchy in that sense. It's based off of some effect that I've made for the asset store, which is already online. You can check it out. It's the VFX BNet pack. But there are some useful things that we can take advantage of, what's already been developed for that, which is pretty great. There's this vignette screen size auto scale, which is essentially a script that I made that takes the creates vector 2, which is screen resolution, and then scales the particle to be that screen resolution. I can't really show you that right here in the test scene, but that's just because that there are more cameras present in the scene besides this one that I just created here for display purposes. You can see like there's this camera, right? And you don't even see like the same things, but yeah, it just plays there just as a placeholder, so you can see the effect and everything happening. So in that sense, what this does is just on the camera, we should have this effect being spawned. So it would be in front of the camera, right? Like if it was a cardboard that happened in front of the camera. And this one will scale with, the script that I've made. So in that sense, let me just try and play this so you can see how it would be. So you can see like the blue outline at the borders of the screen, right? If I do this like that, this is the border, right? And nobody's gonna play with a screen this wide in that sense, but just in case, we might as well just want the particle to scale with the script, which would be great. Also for kind of like vertical formats, this could happen. Maybe it's if it's on phone and vertical mode, I don't know. But yeah, the ideal would be for the script to work, but since it's got different cameras, we just need to adjust it so it takes this like the one camera that's being like used by the player. So yeah, that would be a start for that. Let me know if this is quite a lot, if it should be less, if it should be more, if it should last longer, wherever. We can adjust everything. I would suggest making also new glitch patterns, so we've got like a couple different variations to take from. But since it's glitchy, since it's something that happens really fast, and also it's being offset in multiple layers by the shader, it should be an issue, because like you can rarely see patterns in that or repetition in that. And in that sense, it's got that type of glitchiness and randomness to it. So yeah, let me know how do you like this, if we should adjust or anything. So yeah, just let me know. Okay, so using Sola as the example, Sola dice, yeah, and we've got the top offset, which should be set to around 10, because that's the safe space we can have the bounding boxes be during the falling or death animations. Well, we can change the materials right there when the actual enemy dies and is still in this death animation and not during the animation, so that would be great. Then we can have this top offset move from positive to negative. In that sense, it will be starting to burn like so, and then it will become the burned version of it. Ideally, like the range of 4 to -4 should work fine with most enemies, I guess, even if they're big. And so yeah, we've got the this burning layer, like you can see like the burning and everything. And plus, if we use like those like sparks and breaking effects that we've already created, I feel like it's working nicely. So maybe we don't have to add that extra layer of detail at detecting the edges and spawning stuff just on the edges, because it's gonna be kind of like tedious to do and not performance optimal in that sense. But yeah, it really feels like it's burning, and it's becoming this material I made, which is like a burnt scorch type of material that should adjust to like each of the like the surfaces really well. Like it's got those, well, you know, if you saw some burnt materials before, that's how they usually look. Like it conveys the burned out look. It doesn't matter if it's cables, if it's metal, if it's whatever. It feels like it's been burned. Also respects the normals of the base mesh, but also adds the other ones like the scorch ones on top, which is great. And yeah, I really like how it feels. Now we need to see, like, with the explosion and disappearance and stuff like that, how everything fits, and if we can try that out together. But at least the dissolve bit, I think it's working nicely in that sense. So feel free to try it out. Let me know if you'd adjust something else in that sense. And yeah, that's about it. Hey, so this is how the post-processing shader is going to work. So for features, we've got first the outlines. As you can see, the outlines are being animated here. So I added that feature too. You'll see there's the outline tint, which changes the color of the outline mostly to whichever you want. It forces the outline to be a certain color. You can leave it as white if you don't want the outline to be that pronounced, I guess. And into black, the more you descend into black, it's like blending colors. So it's taking the colors from around and using them as a base and then multiplying them by black. So it's like having a colored outline per object, but lowering the kind of the darkness. So you can see these ones are more gray and the other ones around greenish are more greenish there. And so yeah, this is just a brief example of the outlines. You can also adjust the tint amount, so it's an overall multiplier. Okay, so you can even go inverted if you want. So let's set that to 1. Power, I suggest that leaving that high up. So if I turn this down, you will see that it slowly, it kind of gets weird, like an oil filter in Photoshop or something like that. I don't know, but like, yeah, you can see like the better the power, the more power there is, the less pieces that take outline. I feel this might be too much, so I'm just leaving that at 30, just because I like it more like that. Multiply is just an overall multiply, so if you crank that up and down, it's also controlling the intensity and whatever, so just leave it at 5. And the steps is for like how thick the lines should be, so you can feel free to test that out in that sense. But here it kind of breaks. So yeah, so just adjust it a bit. And I think like that's great at maybe 1 or 2 steps, between 1 or 2 steps. So yeah, mostly that. For the noise, this is the noise that's animating the outline. You can set that to 0, 1, that's the minimum. So if this is 1, there's not going to be any animation on the outline. If this is 0, it's going to be super exaggerated. So you can crank that up to just be a bit animated or more. So that's up to your liking. Just leaving it at half. And then you can adjust the noise. So this is more like generic, more bigger noise. And this is more like small noise. So it feels more painterly in that sense. You can also adjust the noise here, whichever texture you want, and also the amount of panning and how fast it moves. So you can make it move even faster if you want in that sense. So yeah, just leaving it as that. Threshold tint. Threshold is mostly using the most bright parts of the image to be transformed. So if I transform this into red, you can see like this transforming into red, like the highlights are red now, or yellow, orange, whatever. Then I can come here to the noise tint, and as you can see, it's doing nothing because we don't have like the texture multiply, but yeah, so you can see there's a texture being multiplied on top of everything right now, so you can adjust the color for that one too, so it's more like orange and whatnot. And you can also, adjust the the power of it. So for the mask, and the multiply, so it's more or less intense. And as you can see, it's got stepping because it's posterized. So if you set this to 1, it's gonna be super smooth. But if you set that to 50, you can see the posterization there. Even, you can play with those materials to your liking. So yeah, you'll see the posterization here, more banding, less banding, that's up to your liking. So I'm just leaving it at 30, for example, right now. And yeah, you can see like there's these, this is ideally set from 1 to 0, not past that. So I might clamp that so you can go past. And yeah, this is for the highlights, if you want to have different textures and highlights, whatnot. For the shadows, you can also have different types of shadow colors. You can see already there's something going on. And I just added like a grunge texture. You can see it's applying to all the screen at the same time. But yeah, you can play around with that and just do how you want with that. You can also posterize the shadows. You can see here at this bit of the middle, you can see the posterization working. And yeah, you can adjust the intensity of those shadows. As you can see, there is some projected things here. We might have to use something to avoid applying that to some zones we might not want it to be applied to. But yeah, I mean, for the time being, this is just a first pass on it. So we could adjust a bit more or less depending on what you want. And also you can adjust the main color of the shadows. So you can have every shadow be blue or be like, red, like such, and orange to follow like the, type of orangey color. And yeah, you can keep it more subtle or brighter as however you want. So for now, just keeping it black and white and adjusting the texture multiply to something like that. Oh, I also forgot, you've got the base color tint. So you can tint just the base, which is not the threshold and not the shadows. So you can see like the middle ground. That's mostly midtones in that sense, I guess. So you can adjust the colors and whatnot. But yeah, I would just keep it at white. This is the noise of the shadow. So in that sense, for the shadow and the threshold, both of them. So you can see these colors here will change now that I'm adjusting the threshold. You can see it's more like tiled now. This more generic. So depending on what you want, you can adjust the size of it and it will become one color or the other. And also you can just make it pen if you want. You can make it move. So I'm moving it slightly, super slowly now, so you won't even notice it. But at the same time, when time passes, you'll see that it is moving from left to right. So it's kind of subtle. It's kind of super subtle, but I just left that there as a cool thing. Then for the shadows, it's just the same. Let me crank up the shadow noise. You can see here. So you can adjust the size of how the grunge is going to work in the shadows themselves, and also panning if you want to pan the noise for whatever reason. And yeah, you can also adjust that in that sense. Okay, so besides that, that's mostly how it is behaving, the whole shader thing. You can feel free to test it out. Let me know how you like it. If you would want any more features for now, add it into this. This is for the intensity, as I have forgotten to tell you, but it's just an overall intensity kind of parameter. Looks kind of super bad if you turn it super up. So yeah, let's just keep it light, and I think it would work nice. If we want to have different type of, like ReSetna not being that affected by the post-processing or, the effects, I'm going to add a pass so we don't have the effects on that pass, and we would avoid the effects having this type of look, So if an effect has a super bright spot, it won't be affected if you touch the threshold here. So yeah, that would be nice to keep the effects online with what we want. And also here, yeah, you can see like with a bit of movement around, so you can see the borders and everything going on. So yeah, mostly that's the shader that we are using right now. And yeah, let me know how you like it.
Hey there. So this is how you can assign the post-processing to any camera. As you can see, like the camera now is just the vanilla one, and you can create a new camera just like this one. Open post-process example, search here for component post-process example. That should be the one. And then you can find under VFX post-process the VFX PP global outline threshold. So you place it there and then you activate that. And you can see it's activating right now. So you can come to the material and adjust it as you want. As you can see, depending on the resolution of the screen, you will get higher or more intense or less intense outlines. And that's due to the fact that it's post-processing, right? So yeah, the lines and the offset and everything is taking into account the full aspect ratio of the whole game in that sense. So yeah, you should, I guess, be careful with that in that sense. And yeah, you can adjust everything here, as you can see, and just do however you want with the post-processing and lines and whatnot. And also be aware that, as you can see now, this is just having like a much brighter type of look and everything. And if I select this camera, you can see it's kind of different. And that's because it's using also this post-processing layer. So this is a camera that has actually the current post-processing, which is the good one. We should be using first the post-processing layer, which is using the post-processing, specific post-processing for this post-process volume. So it's essentially toning this to be high definition range and mode ACES. Okay, this is the good one. This is the type of cinematic type of look and the great look that Unity can achieve straight away, and also the bloom. So you need to take into account the bloom and whatnot. So that will affect obviously. And also ambient occlusion. You can see we are using the ambient occlusion here. We can crank that up, make it more thick or less thick or whatever. And you can change that to any scalar type of thing. But like, yeah, I mean, just keep that in mind that when we are currently using this post-processing, okay, because if not, you won't be developing on top of the current post-processing, which is this one. Okay, so now you can see that if I go to the camera, activate it, this is giving issues. Let me just, yeah, because we already have this post-process layer here active. So come here to the new camera, also add the post-process layer, then activate this one. And in the post-process layer, you can just adjust this to the, I think, post-processing layer, also post-processing here. And this should be applying the post-processing now to here. So you can see if I activate the post-processing global, this is affecting it. And yeah, so now you can activate this and you will see the outlines properly working as they were and as they should. So yeah, you can see the difference. There's a big difference between using the shader with and without the current good post-processing layer. So yeah, keep that in mind. Hey, so this is for the global shader. Let me show you how it works. The left one is the default materials for Sola 9. The right one is the new global shader with the adjustments for Sola 9. So you can see a difference here. For example, these colors are darker and it's more reflective because the maps are saying that they should be this way. So that's due to the maps. Everything is working properly in that sense. Nothing needs to be under shader global controller. This is just an item that needs to be existing in the scene for this script to work all the time. But like it doesn't need to have anything inherited or connected to it. In this sense, for example, if I wanted to achieve the same color to the one on the left, I will have to remove metallic. So metallic max 0. Now you'd see that nothing is metallic, everything is super rough. And yeah, it's just the same, essentially the same color because the maximum metalness value is that. I would suggest setting this 0 and 1 always because this is physically based rendering accurate values. So stuff should be metallic or not metallic. There shouldn't be like anything in between. Usually if there is like a mixed material, like a wall that has some metal scrapped and everything, the scrapped metal should also be full metallic because it's a metallic element, a metallic material, but in that sense, the roughness should change using a map. I shouldn't touch any of those, okay? I wouldn't touch any of those. So for the roughness max, that's just, well, how everything is working in terms of roughness. So for example, in the floor, you can see like it's almost wet, and that's because the floor maps have that configured that way. So that would need to be kind of changed that way. You can see if I set this to 0, so this would be metallic, but 0 roughness. This is how it looks. It looks darker because metallic stuff tends to look darker in that sense. And you know, here you can see the difference when I change the roughness max. So roughness max, I mean, we should really just leave this
0, 1. Okay, never touch this because it's also the maximums and the minimums. So this is necessary in order for all the other assets to work and the maps to work. So this should be driven by the maps here. For example, in the torso or head. So this is the material for the torso and head. You would adjust that in the metallic AO roughness. So in this case, it would be the green channel of this texture. This would be, the blue one. The blue one would be the map that should say, hey, this should be, more refractive, less refractive in that sense, like having more reflections or less in that sense. So yeah, that should be the thing that controls that, and not controlling it here. It should be controlled by the maps per material. Then you can see even some differences here with color. You can see that this is darker than this one. That's with the fact that it's using AO. So yep, if we use the AO, sorry, it wasn't being used before. So yeah, this is 0, this is 1. So you can see this is more dark in that sense if we set the AO intensity to 1. So I would say let's leave this to 1 and then control AO by using the specific textures for each asset. So yeah, set this just to 1. Okay, and never go above that because it's gonna cause like artifacts. But yeah, 0 to 1. And then you can adjust the color of, it doesn't matter. The color doesn't matter. It should just be black like that. Okay, it would never need to be changed, but I'm leaving this parameter here just in case we might want to have something to do with that, because this is connected to the AO of the material properties instead of being like a color added into the albedo. So in that sense, this is going here to ambient occlusion. And as you can see, this only makes it so it's darker on the AO part. If you want me to make it colored, we can also change that, but that would imply removing that from ambient occlusion. So yeah, and just applying it in the albedo texture itself. Then if I remove this albedo intensity, you can control also the power here if you're using albedo and multiply, so it's kind of harder, so more towards the edges instead. You can see here, so it's more like hard edged. So yeah, let's set this to 1, and you can invert the color. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't touch that. So yeah, let's set this to maybe something like that. And this is the curvature color. So yeah, for that, we would need to be using a curvature map, which is not the case. As you can see, this is black, just a pure black texture, which is a black pixel in that sense. But if you wanted to use like a curvature map, you could go to the Sola, for example, this one, and you would see right now should be working. If I go here and change the colors, you can see there's orange here. I can switch that up to be green, something like that. So yeah, it's working with a map. Same with thickness. So yeah, I think that thickness one might be inverted. So yeah, if you set that to 0, you can see that changes, and there's just the borders here. And so yeah, that's working with a thickness also. And then take in mind that if curvature and thickness have overlapping colors, for example, let's say like thickness is not only the white borders here, you can see right here, but it's also taking some space here or here, it will override the curvature. So if this is blue and you set this to be orange, yeah, that will affect this other one because the texture is also affecting that. So you would have to adjust in order for that to not be happening. So yeah, and then after curvature comes after albedo, which is this color reveal thing. Then thickness comes after curvature and height comes after thickness. And this then displays the latest color. So in that sense, yeah, I think this is also inverted. So yeah, not inverting that makes it work nicely as it should, I guess, because it shouldn't really affect all of that, right? So just a bit of those. So yeah, you can see it's being affected and everything. And you can adjust, as you said, like power, multiply. But yeah, just so you know how everything is set and working in that aspect. And mostly there's that. I would suggest, yeah, just leaving this to intensity to 1, but invert to 0. So intensity just being full intensity, and then this to 0. So So it's kind of like not inverted in that sense. I think that would be better in terms of practice for, how the colors should be behaving in that sense. So everything makes kind of sense, I guess. Yeah. And I think this one is inverted too. Perhaps I will invert the other, on the shader so it looks nicely. So yeah, that's mostly how it works. Color real, just set this to just be 1 if you want the albedo to be that. If you set this to 0, what will happen is that it will be using like those colors here. You can see that. I would never use that. That's just if you want to color a bit of the, maybe like a post-processing thing in which you enter a zone and you see everything more like, I don't know, like golden tones or like greener, or just a slight touch of color. Wouldn't overdo it at all. And then don't touch the black. I wouldn't touch that. But yeah, just keep color real to 1. If you switch to that, you will be able to use the power and multiply, as you can see here. So that will make it rougher on the edges. So something like that. Okay, that's just how it's working. But yeah, don't touch that, I guess. Just use it like so if you want the real colors. And yeah, let me know if I have to adjust the AO in order for it to be able to colorize stuff. Also, one thing I was not mentioning, this is the albedo multiply emissive, which is the overall albedo multiplying. I would never touch that, okay? And the texture multiply emissive, I would also never touch that. This is just the emissive maps are being multiplied overall, like globally, and this is all the albedo. Okay, but I would never touch that. And that said, I also made it so, for example, torso. Let's maybe remove this because, so here you can see emissive texture. Okay, so this is like a mask. Instead of a color texture, this is like a mask. Everything should be black. I mean, even the background, these background pieces here, like those background islands, should be fully black. And then the emissive things should be like purely white or black. I mean, no grays or in-betweens should be used in that sense as good practice. But yeah, I mean, let's leave that as that. So for example, as you can see now, what that was doing with this controller here. So let's set this to 1. You can see what this is doing. This is just multiplying that texture by 1. But I would not approach that in that sense. So I would come here to the torso, switch to the custom color. So the custom color, if you deactivate it, it will be using this emissive texture. So it could be using like any other texture like this one, for example, in that sense. And if you adjust this, and now I go here and set this, you can see like this is glowing pink now because that's the texture I set there. So yeah, that's the reason why I wouldn't like really do it that way, but there's this option. And then if you want to kind of switch to the other mask, just set this custom color switch on, and then you'll see this is kind of bright in a sense. So you can change the color. Also, you can color it however you want, and then crank up the intensity. You'll see that it's glowing. So yeah, this is per material. This is per material, not globally, because it wouldn't make any sense to change the color of all the emissive materials at once, because maybe you want the torso to have this like orange glow, but you might have to, have like the arms glowing blue color. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense if there's a neon sign back there and that's green, you wouldn't want it to be affected by, switching the color. So in that sense, you need to adjust these specific colors for that using the materials and not the global shader controller, because yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. So if I crank this up, you'll see that this is not affecting the torso anymore. Even if I, set this one, it doesn't affect it because yeah, I activated the custom color switch in that sense. So yeah, and this is for the normals. So I wouldn't touch the normals either. I would set this to be like 1, which is like the map that you made on Substance or wherever. And yeah, that's mostly how you would need to use all of these features for shader wise. So I would just need to know if we want the albedo to control like colors and also like instead of just black. And also like if you want those colors to be controlled per material or globally, or maybe have like a custom color per material. So you would have like, I don't know, red albedo, red ambient occlusion into Sola 9, but maybe have those concrete marks here be like I know, brown albedo. And then you would globally control the intensity of the albedo, but not the color, because that's set with the emissive colors. It doesn't make any sense that everything shares the same kind of ambient occlusion color. I mean, it could make sense if it was more like a post-processing thing, but like, yeah, as said, whichever one you feel like works best. I can also make it so there is the ambient occlusion custom per item. So you would have like this material be like orange ambient occlusion, and this would be blue or ambient occlusion, and then like having a multiplier. So if you multiply that by white, it would stay the same. But if you multiply that by red, everything would shift towards a more red color in that sense. So blue would become more like purple-ish because you were multiplying by red. So it would fall something in between here instead of being blue or red. So yeah, it would fall here. If that was green and you multiply by red, you know, you would fall something here. So yeah, in that sense, we could do that. But just let me know. Yeah, whichever one you feel like fits best. So for the global shader, you can see that right now we are supporting curvature, thickness, and height also. So curvature is red, thickness is green, and height is blue. I just semi-color coded that so you can see that. All these maps are now behaving as kind of like a support for AO, but not quite, in that sense that they're behaving in the same way that AO does, but like the maps would do different stuff. So for example, if you wanted to have for thickness affecting, I don't know, like the subsurface scattering or any other parameters, we can for sure crank that in that sense. Height, we are not using height in that sense. We're just using it. All of these maps are being used for color right now. Height, if we wanted to use height for something else, like having you know, tessellation or like offset in the vertices, okay, we can crank that and nut that up in that sense. But for now, it's just for coloring purposes. We can activate or deactivate. If in the texture, which I'm gonna show you how to create a texture now, which is pretty easy. If in the texture you set black to height, it won't be doing nothing because it's just black and nothing will go through here. Okay, in that sense. So if we keep that black, nothing's gonna happen. For thickness, same for thickness and curvature. Right now we are just switching. Let's say we've got a black and white texture, which is what is gonna go through the red channel in this case, for example, for curvature. Where white is happening, it would be the color out, and where black is happening would be the color in. So it would be like switching between two colors. Okay, but keep in mind this is additive in that sense. So we would have the base color, we would have the albedo, and on top of the albedo, which is this one here, we would be having the curvature, thickness, and height, which we can adjust as set. But like for example, for the curvature, if we wanted to have the curvature map be, I don't know, like orange, just orange, like an orange layer in Photoshop, it's like a black mask in Designer or Painter, and it will be like yeah, just a mask in Photoshop that just affects this thing. So you could set that to be orange, for example. And if you set the other thing to black, it would not be changing. I mean, in that sense, this would be the albedo. The black would be full albedo. And this would be the color that you want to add up into there. So yeah, we can do some practical tests later. But yeah, for the intensity, so you can also adjust this using the global shader. So it's going to be 1 full intense, 0, it will be just the albedo. So 1 is, in this sense, albedo plus this curvature thing color that we are adding. And then 0 would be just albedo. For the power and multiply, power is just making the edges where the edge is more present in that sense. And multiplying is just adding up onto that. So this is like reducing. If you crank the power up, it's gonna shrink the edges, and multiplying will higher the intensity of those edges. Color invert is just for inverting the color, so which is this one would be this one, and vice versa. And the same behavior is happening for all the other masks here. Okay, so yeah, this is the kind of the addition. So you can see the curvature thickness, height here, texture. Right now, nothing's being used here. But if I go to the UV, I don't know, like let's select, for example, this one. You'll see it's way like white. So you go to the global shader component, and this is mostly due to like those being white. So if we set it to 0, 0, 0, it's recovered the same color as before, as if it was black in that sense. And it's gonna be hard to kind of get a look at those. This is the emissive, which is the okay. This could be better to test. So let's go here, and now maybe for the curvature, let's say this map we just inputted is a curvature. So right now this is inverted. So let's set this to 0. Okay, so now you see this color here is the color that we are adding up. So if this is black, it's not gonna add anything up. Okay, but you see like the texture here is like that. Okay, so the darker places, the darker edges are essentially the edges and the cavities and whatnot. This is why that part is white now, because where it is dark, we are telling it to change the color to the color that we are defining, and where it is white, we are saying, hey, this is just albedo. It should be the other way around, because like, we had to invert this, but yeah, I mean, in that sense, if you go here to the curvature intensity and change it, you'll see that the cavities are changing to that color while keeping the albedo color the same. So that's driven by that in that sense. So this would be dark, but you can obviously switch it to whatever you want. So it's like, that's the way you should add those in. And if I invert this, you'll see like the creases are keeping the dark color, but the blue is being present where the albedo is supposed to be. So that's why, because it's inverted. For the power multiply, let me show you what it was doing. Essentially, if you crank up the power, this is gonna happen, and the multiply, it kind of goes hand in hand. So if you crank up the power, you'll have to tone up the multiply also. But like, if you set that to 3 and this to 3, you'll see like it's just grabbing the edges, not all the, it's affecting it more or less in that sense. So that's the how that's working there in that aspect. And yeah, you can also switch the colors and whatnot. So that's mostly how it works. We can do the same for the other passes, the thickness, cavities, the height. Also, we can add more features to the emissive channels in that sense. So we've got the albedo multiply, which is just going to multiply the albedo. Texture multiply emissive, this is the overall multiply. Don't touch that, I guess. So just use the albedo for now. And yes, so let me know how we should go from here. I can default this to be like parameters differently, so it won't be inverted by default, or it would, or depending on how we are gonna tackle those textures, which I'm not gonna explain. I'm now going to explain how you can easily mix those textures, which I made a Substance Designer material graph for it, and it should be pretty straightforward. I think it's being used here already, so you can see red. It's in this case we are doing the if you go here to this one, we were doing, what is it? Here, the metallic AO roughness texture. So as this is just concrete, you can see red is metallic, so it's black, so it's doing nothing. This is for the AO, and this is for the roughness in that sense. So yeah, basically it's using the same principle as this would be using, but for the other maps, essentially. Also, the emissive texture, it's black and white, but we could set this to be color. So you would have a texture with different colors. So maybe, for example, here in this texture, which is the ones we're using for the emissiveness now, for example, you can have baked in colors. So it won't be depending on, because right now this emissive map is just controlling the intensity of emissiveness. It's not controlling colors or anything like that. It's just multiplying the albedo, the already existing albedo, with this map here. So this edge, for example, would not emit, but the other white bits would emit light from the albedo. But you could have the albedo separate from the emissive map. So you could have the emissive map have, for example, like letters here, or like a sign here, or something like a neon light, I don't know, like something differently. And that would be popping up in the emissiveness, but not in the albedo in that sense. So we can also have that. I think it's ready to be implemented easily in that sense. So also great. And yes, let me show you how to bake in the textures in Substance, which is super easy. Okay, so this is right now for the global shader. Okay, so this is the new shader here. Well, you won't be able to see it here. Okay, that's the new shader right now. And I took this material. You see, it's one for the metal bars, one for the concrete. And so it's using the shader, okay, in which you have the albedo, metal, AO, and roughness. So metal is in the red channel, AO is in the green channel, and roughness is in the blue channel. This one is custom. And as you can see, this one is not custom. This is just using, the occlusion. So I just popped that in, but I'm going to show you how you can easily get that to be custom. Then the normal texture. Okay, so one normal texture per each object in that sense. And the emissive. Don't worry about the emissive for now. It's just added because, but like, yeah, maximum for textures, which I feel is okay. So you can place as many of those assets as you want in the scene. Okay, so for example, like this, I don't know. And then what you can do to transform them all at the same time, in that sense, you can create this game object, okay? And I assigned this script here, which I made, global controller. So you can remove that and assign that here. And what this is going to be doing is for all the materials that are sharing this global shader, you're going to be transforming them at the same time. So for example, let's say you don't, for some specific scene, you don't want them to use the real colors. So you can just set that to 0. So in this case, it's using different colors using the ambient occlusion. So where the ambient occlusion is, it's going to be dark, like black, but you can switch that to red, for example. Let's crank up the multiply so you can see it a bit more nicely. But yeah, this is just transforming the colors. Let's say you want it maybe bluish and then dark blue for the other bit. So yeah, you can transform it as you really wish. In that sense, for all the assets in the scene, it's pretty useful. And also, you can turn on the color wheel. This is for the ambient occlusion. You can also change that. Right now, the ambient occlusion intensity is 1. You can crank that up. As you can see, it's turning a bit weird in the colors. It's not purely dark. It's more like, yeah, like buggy orange, something like that. I'm gonna fix that, but at least, there's the ambient occlusion intensity. You can control it pretty easily here. Okay. Then color mix power and multiply is just a bit of the same, just to crank that up. Like more edges, less edges, that's more concentrated on the edges now, for example. If I turn that down, it's gonna take more of the whole material. So yeah, invert is to invert the map. So it's 0 or 1. Multiply in emissive is just multiplying the albedo as emissive texture, but as you can see, it turns into white, which is kind of a problem, but it can be fixed easily. And then yeah, same, but this is using the texture, the multiply emissive mask that you have. So for example, if I take this one and set the emissive texture to be, I don't know, something a bit more crazy yellow, something like that. Okay, and then I take this one and crank that up, you'll see that, yeah, this is emitting yellow now because it's the texture map, whereas this is just doing the albedo. Okay, so yeah, that's the main difference. Roughness, so yeah, just in case you want to adjust the roughness so it looks a bit more humid. Metallic, or full metallic. And as you can see, it's min and max, so it's not gonna decide on every, this, for example, here is metallic because it has white here on the metallic channel, which is the red one. So this is metallic, right? But this one doesn't, because on the concrete, it's completely, the red channel is completely dark. It's completely black. Green one, which is the AO, and blue one, which is the roughness. So it's fully rough in this case, which is blue. And yeah, alpha is also always 1. And so yeah, and this is the normal intensity. You can crank that up or down or wherever. And this is mostly the global shader, so you will be able to take that into all the assets that you want. Just place that in there and switch however you want. So yeah, basically it. Let's see how we can take it from here, but I feel like this is good progress going on. Good. So for the Goho bot, this is the dash. Haven't like implemented or anything. We'll have to test how this works, but I feel like it's gonna work great. It's got both distortion, air panning, the sparks, like electricity following. So it's gonna be a nice dash, I guess. Then we've got the dodge. So it's also like that, like a quick movement to the side. So yeah, keeping the fast and violent pace of the Goho bot. Might also have to test it in game. Then we've got the dash to attack. So yeah, it comes from the dash into the attack. Haven't yet implemented or tested a set, but like yeah, once we've got this in, it finishes like the dash and then it attacks. So I think it's gonna work great, like both elements at the same time. So yeah, it's working nicely. So then we've got the melee one, which is like this straight cut to the side. So yeah, pretty nice, noticeable. Like you can get the electric feeling from it. Then there's the slash, like the second slash, the melee second slash. I kept the all the electricity elements to it. You can see like there are some aftermath kind of sparks going on. So yeah, you can see like the first cut, and then there's these small electric sparks. Then there's the melee 3, which is 2 cuts going downwards like that. So yeah, like also it's gonna improve like a lot, like electricity and lightning and stuff. Whenever we've got the sound effects, it's gonna feel like way more electric. Like there's so many stuff you can do to make it look like electricity, which I feel like we've accomplished already. But with sound effects, it's going to be just awesome. I really like this bot. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, and there's the invisible also, which we've already seen. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Test for the Goho bot invisibility cloak. So right now this is super exaggerated, but yeah, at least we'll be able to see him. I don't know if it's supposed to be super invisible. So there's a couple of different parameters that we can drive with this. So one is the color aberration append. If you set this to 0, it's gonna be just the cloak color. So if you set that to white, it's gonna just be invisible. So adjust it a bit so it's like dark color, something like that. And then you can add the color aberration. So yeah, you'll be seeing that it's purely transparent with no colors, but has the color aberration to it. You can affect the color aberration range also by adjusting the distortion here. So just keep it pretty low. This is without any color aberration, so purely transparent and refractive. If you set it to 0.1, it looks like this. So adjusting it to 0.1, something like that, should work. Just a bit of color aberration looks pretty great. And also there's this parameter for the overall cloak, so we can adjust the overall like intensity for the transparency and whatnot. Then also, well, a couple noise to give like distortion to the cloak and everything. So you can test it out too if you want. And then there's the Fresnel scale and power. So you're gonna be seeing like, yeah, this creates more of a kind of a glass-like effect, I guess. And then you can adjust it so it's more just on the edges and whatnot. So you can also adjust the intensity overall here using the opacity max, but just set this to 0.1, or the opacity minimum, so it's always having some sort of refraction. So yeah, it's gonna be something like that. I would leave this with a degree of refraction to it because it looks cooler and everything. But yeah, and then again, if you want to add some more colors to it, so you can add it here. So it's got this tint to it right now. Keep in mind that this is using like additive light properties and colors, so it's behaving like light. Wherever the dark zone, like it's behind the robot, it's gonna be more pronounced. If it's lighter, it's gonna be lighter. So yeah, keep that in mind when creating like the looks or adjusting the colors or whatever. And so yeah, if you set this to dark, it's just gonna be looking like that. All right, so let me know what do you think? Since this is gonna be just spawning in and spawning out, like popping out of existence, we wouldn't need to animate any of this, but it can be animated too, yeah. Right, so here's for the Grenadier bot. This is the alert. So sparks coming out of the hands. It's 4 quick sparks separated by 0.1 seconds. So it follows the animation and it follows the timing closely. So it's nice when it hits. It's always hitting. The range is kind of a bit random in order for it to be like not hitting the same spot at the same time. So it gives more natural vibe to it. So yeah, this is the getting ready. It's really perceptible from, you can really see that it's preparing from all angles. So yeah, that's that. Then we've got the projectiles. So for the projectiles, I've got separated the projectiles and charges and everything. So let me first show you the attack prepare right here. So it loads fire energy balls. Not fire really, but like energy balls overall. And this has a charge and a loop because like from here, you should go into the attack, which is this. And the same effects should be there. So stuck to the arms and you would see them there and then they would disappear when that frame happens there. And then those would turn into, okay, this is the charge. So you can see like the energy ball forming. And this is the projectile itself. So yeah, you can see like it's a standard projectile that moves around, has energy following it around the place. So it's more like, yeah, like an energy type of ball here. You can see like it's pulsating and everything, and it feels really dangerous. And then this is the impact, which has a lingering aspect to it, 1.5 seconds, as the description said for that. So it's more like of a energy type of boom explosion. Yeah. So yeah, there's that for the Grenadier bot. When it impacts, it should spawn this. This is just a test prefab, but yeah, the impact should look something similar to this. And if there's anything else that needs to be done for implementation, please let me know, because like I can't really test it in game now with, you know, the prepare and the attack combo. So yeah, let me know. Alright, so for the laser wall gate thing, just tested with this mesh. I made those lasers specific to this mesh in this sense. So if they are going to be placed in some other meshes, let me know so we can adjust the lasers. The lasers are just a bunch of lasers going through those pins there at the frame. And then they've got randomness, they are flowing. So in that sense, it's not repetitive. You can see like, you can perceive those are lasers, right? Even if it's from far away, it's not too distracting, but like it's there. It's got emission to it. And also there's the laser gate, the wall, like it's something more like still lasers. You can feel like when you have a room full of lasers, but the room is covered in smoke. So you would see like the laser beams and everything. It's that same feeling. The blue really helps contrast with the red and also sells like this lasery look. Blue is a color of lasers. Like you can't have like a brown laser, for example, but blue is a really associated color with lasers. Then we've got the contact also. So if any player was about to cross this, which won't happen, right? Because it's a wall that you can't really go through. But like, yeah, you've also got that contact effect happening. So that's great. And yeah, it's not fully opaque, so you can see whatever is after there. So it's got that vibe of both laser, energy, flow, like, sci-fi look, which is what we are aiming for. So yeah, let me know. Okay, so I got the problem fixed. The thing that was messing up with the light map was the emission. For some reason, emission is being overwritten by the light map. Doesn't matter if this emission texture is being actually used. So let's say I'm going to use this emission, right? Let me connect this. So this would be the emissive texture, for example, noise of some sort. Okay. And you can see the intensity is high, but nothing's happening. If I set this thing to be like this, so yeah, it's using this map right now because it's using the custom color switch. All right, so yeah, you can see like the shapes there. Yeah, you can see it more clearly like this. So this is the emission, right? The emission is overwriting everything. But the thing is, like if I, you can see that's the albedo, all right, and this is the, if I activate the light, this looks dark because it's not, receiving any lights at the moment. It's purely black. Okay, so if I disable this, that's the way it is. I can go. Well, I reconnect this after that, but like, let's say we connect this into the emission. So, like so, you can see like the lights are being displayed now. If I deactivate the light, you can see like, yeah, that's there. So the lights can be baked right now. Technically, it should work, and it should also work with the emission kind of map. But like, it's like this doesn't work if I apply this to the albedo instead of the emission. If I set the emission to 0 and set this to the albedo, it's kind of strange. Like the albedo is fully black, and yeah, so this is the way it is, and you don't see that on the when the light is active, because it's not detecting any lights there because they are not dynamic. They are static because they have been baked in that sense. So if I was to create a light around here, point light, so like that, yeah, you'll see that the light is now here. So let's say this one is blue, okay, for example. So since this is dynamic, that's going to be affecting the one below. And yeah, it's revealing the light map that's been baked into the albedo, but it doesn't make sense to have the light map in the albedo if the rest of the map will be dark, because it will be just dark in that sense. You know what I mean in that sense? For example, if I set a light to be lighting this, it won't be lightening this. This will be just dark right now because it's using the light map, right? So if I set this to 0 and then set this point light here, you see like right now it's fully black, and that's because I set also this light map base. So this would be the lit dynamic light version of the model. So this is the albedo, right? And no emissiveness happening. I get it's kind of confusing sometimes. Let me know if that's confusing, but yeah, this is the albedo, and this is the albedo with the light map. So I'm guessing the light map should really go only to the emissiveness, and the albedo should be this one, which is just the base itself. So now, yeah, you would see like if it's lit, you see like everything, but like it's normal. Setting this to 0, and you can see the difference there. This is being lit because of the point light right now, which is as expected. If it's a dynamic light, we would want that to be lit, right? And yeah, if I set this to the light map intensity, is just adding that up. Like the big lights are adding up on top of the albedo. So that should be the proper way of handling that. If that's okay, I'm just gonna push this, and so you can try baking lights and everything. This is just the standard lighting. I haven't tested it with the bakery, but it should work because like I guess bakery is gonna bake some lights here. So yeah, it should technically work. In the end, I ended up mixing also this light map into the emission itself. So just because we might want emission in the model and then not losing those emissive properties, but still having the baked in light map into it. So in this sense, if I turn this down, this is just the albedo plus the emissiveness from the light. Also the point light, this point light is just, setting light because the albedo is also not purely dark, which is great. Then this, if I move this, it's just gonna keep the same information because it's baked into it, right? And then if I go here and set this is not gonna do anything, but you can see like that thing happening. And if I set this to custom light and intensity and whatever, we still get the emissive channel, the emissive color that we set, or the emissive mask that has been set in this aspect. But you are still keeping the light map baked into it with the colors and everything. So yeah, you can see that's the emissive, the albedo below, so it's reacting to the light. And then after that, there's the light map also on top of that. So it's mixing, right? Because it's light, so light plus light, that's the expected result. Yeah, that's the way that should be done. The blending mode that should be done. Which is additive because it's just purely light. So yeah, that just allows us to have both the emissive channel properties that we set, and let's say there's a neon sign or a LED or something like that, like lava. So you would have the lava parts, and you would have like the rock parts being baked. So yeah, that's the way it would work. So yeah, should be working nicely.
Hey, so essentially what's happening is that ideally glass objects and transparent objects should have their own material. So in this case, you can see like there's this core here, and then there's the frame. But the frame, as you can see, like there's the majority of it, it should be opaque, right? Because it's metal. So the thing is, transparent objects render on another order than the opaque renders in that sense. So what's happening here is this is caused due to the whole thing being a transparent object. And yeah, you can see the interior faces of this frame here, because like if you want to see the interior faces, you should set this to 0. But also you can see like the map, it's not properly working for transparency here. So this is not transparent at all. So it's just, yeah, it's just there, even though it isn't transparent. I'll check that out, but like the thing is that with transparent objects, and also this is set to Z-write, so it shouldn't be Z-writing in that sense. So if it is set to 0, you see now that this is like the glass is working as it should, right? Because you can see like there's transparency. And if I set this to 0, you'd be seeing like the interior faces, but this causes this issue in which this other object shouldn't be like the parts of metal shouldn't be transparent. So it should be 2 different materials. Okay, so opaque material for the opaque bits, and have a separate material right here for another material for the glass, just for the glass, because this was set to Z-write. All right, Z-write, like by default, opaque materials, opaque shaders are Z-writing because they are opaque, so they should override whatever is behind that, because it's an opaque material. But with transparent materials, this happens. Transparents get rendered after the opaque, and so this causes like issues with that. You can see like transparency, and you're seeing this bug here. So essentially the workflow should be, if you have any sort of transparency of transparent shader that you need to use, separate the materials. So even if there's like a bot, even if it's an element from the environment, but just separate the materials in 2 bits. You can do this in easily Blender, right? Like just assigning like the glass material to those faces, and that should be good to go. Really, like this is working as expected, at least for the glass. But as you can see, it doesn't work as expected for the rest, because it's not sorting the faces out properly, because it should be opaque in that sense. So yeah, that would be the way to work around this.
Okay, so starting with the outline animation that we talk about, having the lines animated, the width, and the colors and whatever. So for the intensity of the colors, you can switch the tint amount from 1 to less than that. So you'll see that it's kind of taking the colors from around but darkening them. If you set that to negative, it's gonna brighten them a bit. So it's subtle. And if you set that to -1, it will be the inverted to the tint color. So in this case, it's white. So in that sense, you can adjust depending on the scene. If it's darker or brighter, you can adjust the colors. You can also adjust the colors individually as before. So you also have the outline power, which I suggest keeping up at least 20, something like that, because if you take it down, it's just gonna not detect the edges properly and just detect everything, and this is going inverted. So yeah, we don't want that. I just set that to 50. The higher you set that up, the higher these artifacts won't be happening, but it's inevitable that that's something that's not, if you're doing the outlines using post-processing, you can't avoid those type of issues here around those details. So it's kind of a bummer, but like that's what it is. The multiply is just similar to the tint amount, so keep the 1. For the steps min and steps max, this is the width that's affected by the noise. So
0 is like 0 size for the outline, and this would be the max size. So if we set that higher up, you'll see that this is grabbing more of the edges. So it's more like painterly, rough edges in that sense. If you set that to both 5, you'll see that the outlines are animated, and the intensity over the screen of the edges, like instead of being a complete edge, is just having noise to determine where to show the edge or not. But this is controlling the width based on that. So it's like tapering the noise. So you will see at the edges it's smaller, and in the center it will be bigger. So it's more like, this type of thing. You can set that to whatever you want, but setting is to like that. It's fine, I guess. This is for the outline noise. So this is for the colors. You can see when I'm affecting this, you can see like feeling kind of the waves going through the screen. This is based on screen. So you'll see that this is affecting some parts of the screen and whatnot. So feel free to also adjust that to your liking in that sense. The pan speed is for how fast this will be moving. You can see like it's like something is going from right to left in this sense. You can see it better here, like this. You can see like waves going from right to left. That's just a noise that's spanning from right to left. And if you crank that up, you'll see also like it's going downwards now. So you can switch directions and switch these values as you like. But like this, I feel it's pretty subtle and it's still working nicely. For the multiply, don't touch that. You can see this is the pattern. So you can see how this is affecting everything on scale. You'll see it affects the lines going through. And this is not properly. You don't have to take this into negative. Just take it into positive, and it will be affecting the outlines going through to the edges and whatnot. So if you set that to 0, this will be happening, right? Which is like just avoiding some spots and going up into the others. But like this is affecting. So it's the baseline plus the affection in that sense. Okay, let's set that to like that, as we had that. Okay, now the Sobel intensity texture is also another noise that's going around here. Animation strength, I would just keep this at 0.25. That's just because we are using this texture 4 times, panning in all 4 directions to create kind of chaos in that sense. So it's like animated and not directional. It's like omnidirectional animation for the outlines. For the scale, it's just the same. You can set this lower or higher. You can see like the outlines a bit better here. If you set it even lower, you see that it's almost like affecting the whole outline at the same time, like a scan line or something. But you can switch that to however you want. You can also adjust the pan speed so it's not super noticeable, but you get the sense of, outlines moving and whatnot. So also feel free to adjust that to whichever one you like. I feel like, something like that can be working. So just do however you want. In the other aspect, solar intensity mean and max, this is just the overall type of width for the outline. So it's kind of establishing like how thick will the Sobel is like the mathematics calculation of the edges. So it's like almost like detecting the edges, blurring them, and this is blurring them more or less. So it's taking more or less of those edges detected there. So in that aspect, that's the animation of the outline. We could also have noise pattern in the color to switch between different colors or whatnot, but I feel like this is enough just for the time being. With that, and this is also fully customizable, and if we need to change something, that would be nice. So just tell me and we'll be changing it. As you can see, ReSetna shouldn't have the outline. That's just going to be sorted out of the post-processing thing afterwards. So that's for the outline thing in the post-processing.
This is for the plasma VFX. This is the dripping plasma with a viscous, like tight type of plasma dripping from the pipe, actually. Then on the pipes, we've got the plasma moving around like behind the glass. So I just placed like some placeholder materials for metal and glass and whatnot, but like those would have like the actual textures there. So you can see like there's this plasma material here, which is flowing everywhere at once. Like it doesn't follow like a specific line. In that sense, that helps us because like both plasma doesn't have like a fixed directionality in that sense, because it's like another state of matter, you know. But like, yeah, in that sense, we could have it so it's more like otherworldly or like a special type of element that doesn't fall like to a specific direction. And this also solves one problem, which is that if you wanted the plasma to go in a specific direction, we need to have the pipes UV'd in the way that they would be following one direction, but then we would need to rotate them around and place them around. So that direction would be respected. So maybe, yeah, we can do that. We can add that. But for now, done it that way, which I feel like works great. And yeah, for the dripping plasma, it's just a continuous stream of plasma going downwards. It's got like the same materials to this plasma here. Also the plasma pools. I just tested on some different pools here and there. You can also offset this by, if you had like different kind of pools, you could offset like the tiling, the scales, you know, all those parameters, distortions and whatnot. And then, yeah, those are the ripples there. So mostly I feel like this is working pretty nicely. I really like the look of it. And it also has like that glow depending on the angle of that you're watching the plasma, which is really great. It feels like it's hot. And so, yeah, it's missing like the heat waves and everything, but like at least this is the look of the plasma. Reads well in all different, you know, zoom levels. So yeah, let me know what you think, if we should add more elements to it. Also made this dripping plasma here, which is just a couple droplets of plasma coming out of, you know, a pipe or some broken place or something. So that erodes over time also. So yeah, there's the loop version in which some drips are falling continuously, but then the others leave some puddles on the floor. So it's more like it's not closed totally. So it's something it's leaking from there, and, you know, just some leaks, I guess, made that too. So we already have that also. And yeah, let me know what you think. So the plasma drips and heat and everything should be ready. You see some, yeah, that's just normal, but nobody's gonna see that. So yeah, mostly got a lot of particulates. We've got heat distortion. We've got the plasma going on, both the drips, and then we've got the contact also for when stuff crosses or touches the plasma itself. So you can see here that this contact is also like moving, so it's kind of more dynamic in that sense. That's also on the borders of the mesh itself. Then different sizes, you know, it's easy to transform, easy to place down, and you can see those are the copies here. So to adjust this, you would come here to the plasma particles, and maybe you can tweak this here, or you could scale it, but I would suggest scaling it with this here, and never actually overriding anything, because that's everything is inheriting from one from the same effect. So yeah, you can see those. These are also blended by distance, so you won't be seeing artifacts if maybe you see like ReSetna's there and there's a pool here, so you would see like some kind of heat, but then never artifacting. It would never clip or just appear or disappear. So it's kind of nice in that. Then we've got also both this movement that can be adjusted on the dripping. Well, we've got also those drips that, you know, leaking from the pipe and whatnot. But then this is the drip vertical, which is easy to place down. As you can see, this is one of the elements, but then you would just need to place that like right beneath the source of the emission. And then, yeah, so you'd need to just place this huge column and then the thing at the bottom. It can be scaled, but not like so. Ideally, you would come to the mesh and then adjust here, and also never actually doing the this is the set, which is the verticality, never doing like the override settings or anything like that. As you can see, like maybe this is like a lower pipe there. So let me just move that back right here. So yeah, I imagine that that pipe is just a bit lower there, but you would also need to adjust the other like complementary particles to it. So yeah, let's set that to 6. You can see different parameters that we've got here for the offset and everything. So how much it is distorting, how much like the distortion level is just an extra layer of noise on top of that. Then you've got the intensity itself of, you know, the whole thing. So more viscous, or maybe like, yeah, not so much, but like a bit less. And then we've got the vertical mask. So starting more at the bottom and not affecting it up here, or just starting all the way up and affecting everything. So yeah, it's kind of easy to handle and to even transform. Then the other particles are the particulates which are on the pool, which are like, you know, heat kind of particles flowing outwards and whatnot. And then we've got also like the debris out. So more of those heat particles, then some other plasma, like more solid state kind of particulates going around, all the splashes, and yeah, everything mixes pretty well together. So let me know if I should add maybe some more splashes or any other elements that you might like for that fit in that sense. And that should be good to go. I really like the direction everything took. Feels really hot to me and like something dangerous. At the same time, it feels powerful. So yeah, I guess everything is coherent. So yep, let me know. Hey, so new bots, starting with the plasma bot. As you can see, well, it has this charging animation, which I made that like the just loaded the guns effect here. This is just a spawning under the skeleton. So just here, it's not attached to anything. It's as always like here at the root, and it plays automatically. It's timed automatically, and it should be good to go in that sense. So yeah, it's a mix of like hot lava and plasma, and you know all that jazz. Orange colors because like the main theme of the character is also orange. So I feel like it's great. So this is the projectile. It's not functional. I haven't like replaced it yet, but as you can see, it's got this square shape. It's like glowing with like hot plasma and everything. So if I come here closer, you can see like the plasma going around. So it's just like that, and it's got that heat also around. So yeah, you can feel like it's hot. Then it travels around. You can see like the trails and everything. Well, you'll be seeing that better in game if you shot the projectile, I guess. But yeah, it travels, and then when it reaches the target, it explodes. It's got the impact, which following the instructions kind of has that molten type of lava feel. It breaks. The projectile breaks. So yeah, that's the using also like the projectiles using like the shape of the barrel gun suggested too. So yeah, and it's got collisions, which it's also great. So then we've got attack 01. Let's see this one. They all have different timings and everything. So this one is just like, you know, like standard shot. You can see like from different angles, whatnot. So this is like I divided this in a couple effects. One is the shot, so that's the boom when you see the shot, and then the other one it's here, which should follow the hand, right? So this should be living inside the left lock axillary joint. Same for attack number 2. You can see like bam, it's got like the timings and everything done, but this is the easiest way to make it work. It's kind of a burden to having activate those different effects, I guess, but it's the best way to just trigger them. So right lock, which is the right hand, and then this other one for the shot. So yeah, it's already timed and everything. And this one is for the attack 3, which is like bam, 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 different shots, already. And like such, and I guess like the projectiles will already be working inside the cannon and everything, but that is just for the shots themselves. You can see like the square themed following the barrel, and then the like molten like debris going around, and you know, yeah, I feel like it turned out pretty great, and it will work nicely with the projectiles in game. So yeah, there's that. Those are the plasma pots and everything. Pretty cool. All right, so for ReSetna's wound effect, I made it so it's kind of like enough noticeable effect, like using the Prince of Persia reference you shared with me, but also getting references from other games that could fit inside the Metroidvania space in that sense. For example, in Hollow Knight, there's this kind of pause frame in which the game freezes for a couple seconds, and then it, like, the music tones down and has a low pass filter and everything. We're not doing that, but at least like the same type of feeling I wanted to convey with this kind of hit effect. It's super noticeable. I'm gonna show it to you with the in-game type of effect, but I can't really show you the death on in-game because it's not implemented or anything. But like one thing you can see with the wound is that if I pause, at first, we've got, well, those elements, like glitchy elements going on, which I feel work nicely with the theme of ReSetna and whatever happens on the edges of the screen, which is like that HUD type of hit effect that appears also. And then I followed the kind of the tip you gave me about the core, like the core in the chest, you know, like this core here, which to me like feels like this is giving life to ReSetna in that sense. So this is like, hey, kind of breaking the core. You can see like those type of energies from the core coming out of that, plus sparks, plus robot parts, and also this along this glitch effects. There's this small type of radial distortion you can see here. It comes from red to blue because like it's, hey, red means, you know, damage, something bad happened, and then it comes to blue, which is the actual color of the core. And then we would maybe need to test this with the overclock effects and everything of, you know, in context, but I feel like it's gonna work pretty well and it's noticeable. So yeah, should work greatly. Then also notice, it's kind of hard to notice, but we got also like layers of distortion coming out of ReSetna. They are subtle, so you can see like a small expansive distortion there coming out. And also you can see like the screen gets kind of dark, a bit dark and a bit red. So it's super slight, but it's like, hey, you've been hit. It's not a post-process effect. It's like a cool trick with a darkening particle that darkens everything around. Doesn't, like, it's not really apparent inside the game because we've also got like the UI effects going on. But yeah, and so for the death, which is this one here, it's following the same guidelines for the wound because like we want the player to already understand, hey, I've been wounded, but this has been like the last hit I could take. And so after that, you can see like ReSetna's on the floor with smokes coming out of her, and then just electricity, like malfunctioning robot thing. And it doesn't have like any life to it. It's more like it's burning and such. But internally, I didn't want to display like any physical flames. We could add that too, but like adding that, like the smokes, it's more like, hey, something is burning inside the circuits of the robot itself. So it's coming, smoke is coming out of that. So in that sense, you can see that like it follows the same shapes and color rules and elements from the wound, but they are more intense in that sense. They're bigger, obviously, and they've got this radial type of shockwave from the core, like the core finally exploded. And then you can also see those elements there, which are like, the core like soul, maybe just going out. I went a bit creative with that, as you told me, like, hey, go creative with this. But like, yeah, I don't know if you guys might want to like adjust this to be something different. Also, it's bleeding oil, so blood essentially for both sides. Like, I wanted to have like a radial podal radius, but let's say, for example, this is gonna be like in platforms, right? So for example, here we might have in the front, we'll have something that's just empty. So the particles would follow through, and at the end of the day, I thought it was better if we kept this to the plane in that sense. And so yeah, you can see like the whole sequence. By the way, there are some elements that we need to go inside ReSetna's. So in the here parented to some of the bones, and then we'd have a couple of them outside the hit, which would happen at around the chest area. And then the loop, which is like the smokes loop and everything going on. So yeah, the hit includes the hit and the oil and everything that's happening. But yeah, let me know if this is great. I really like it personally, so let me know if we can adjust it to be a bit more, dramatic or a bit less dramatic. I know you guys wanted to keep like not too over the top, but it's always easier to go over the top and then reduce from there than just falling short in that sense. So yeah, let me know how you like it. Yeah. Right, so let's check the in-game effects such as the dash and the air dash, like the slide and everything. So for the slide, you can see like right now it doesn't have those blue lines that existed before. You can, it's subtle. You feel like the dash is happening. There's some distortion behind ReSetna, and there's also some air, some dust particles happening. But that said, like it's super subtle. I didn't want to go too over the top because the player is gonna be doing this all the time. So if we add too much, that might be like it's complicated to balance in that sense. But yeah, also like for the air dash, I made it so as you suggested, like the flow of the copies is more continuous, like it follows better the movement of ReSetna. In that sense, it's hard to pause and to show you because like this happens. So let me see if I can just manage. Yeah, you can see like there, like the flow is continuous, but it's depending on the distance that ReSetna is moving. So sometimes it would be like a bit more offset, and especially if you pause, like it's gonna cause artifacts. But you can see some smearing in that sense, some distortion for the particles behind. And the first copy is super bright for just a brief second, and that gives like the feeling of that the power is driving that push forwards. Also, you can see like the small bluish thing like involving the core into that here at the center, and then this aura type of rainbowy almost type of thing going on, which also helps bring everything together. So as I said, like this is super fast, so the player doesn't even like if it's something more like subconscious, right? It's not like you're gonna see this effect like for 10 seconds straight in that sense, but it's subtle, but it works. And there was a bug in which if you kept pressing like shift while in the air, but like you changed that with being here, the trail was still happening there. I brute forced the solution, so but it's working. So yeah, if it's working, just yeah, there's no need to to adjust anything besides that. But yeah, and also for the hit effects, let me just maximize this. Okay, so you'll see like the wind effects if the bot manages to hit me. Okay, you can see like no animation is happening here, but I don't know why. Where is? I don't know what's happening. Yeah, just come here. Okay, so you can see like much better like the hit effects. It's gonna kill me with this one, I guess. Yeah, but it's okay, I guess. Like it's only missing the animation, like the heat animation, but it's enough noticeable. It's directional too, so like you get to see like a bit of a clue of where that's happening, where you've been hit from, and yeah, I feel like it's working pretty nicely overall. So yeah, let me know what you think. I can't sadly show you the death sequence, but I feel like it's gonna be amazing once it's implemented. So yeah, let me know. Alright, so for the Pyrobot, this is the boiling. So you can see like whenever it appears on screen, it's got that kind of reddish color and then keeps having those blue colors on the loop as the boiling material here is also blue and the colors are overall blue. But I made it so you can see it from like like as if it's on top, but it still has like depth fade, heat distortion around, and yeah, it's pretty nice. Like it adjusts really nicely, and it's not super over the top neither. But yeah, you can see like there's also near the cables, as the instruction said, some pressure releasing from time to time. It's random, so it can happen from time to time. But yeah, you can see this is the boiling overall. This would be the alert. So you can see like he goes like burning upwards in a short matter. And I left some lingering particles too around here. So you would also see those. Well, you could, I don't know, miss that there's the player, the enemy there, but like, yeah, with that you would notice. So this is the Attack 01, which essentially it's just a flamethrower. I made the flames big enough so you can perceive like fire and everything. Like I follow the colors. Like first they are like kind of white, then they turn into this blue, and then the purple. The thing is, as fire is additive, it's really, if it's emitting light, it's really hard to make it super saturated. So it's subtle, like the color change is subtle. We could change that to not be like additive and be blending instead, which could be fine too. But like for now, it's just additive since fire is light. But yeah, this is the same principle that follows all the other pyro attacks. The only thing that changes is like the direction and everything, that the flames are following everything. It's easily scalable. Colors can be changed easily too. And so this is for the 03. 03 goes a bit more crazy and aims towards the floor. So kind of does this through the floor. There's no way, like, I mean, we could, I guess, brute force it or everything, but like the flames cannot like bounce on the floor and then come up. That would be like super costly. But yeah, you won't be seeing like those going under the ground or anything, at least. So from this perspective, everything looks great. Looks awesome. Fire can be like more detailed, more less noisy. Like, let me know what your feelings about it. But yeah, for now, this is the pyro bots overall. I feel like they work great, and you can understand like you're gonna get burned. Okay, so this would be the trail that activates on the jump, sidestep, jetpacks, the trail that comes out of the propulsors under Sola. It's mostly pretty bright and vibrant. It's red themed, as Sola is pretty red themed overall. And it's got a blue touch to it. You can see that in the tip. So yeah, it also has that blue component to it. So it's more like high energy blue fluid, blue jet fuel, whatever it is. But yeah, just at the tip there. And the rest is just like a residual red. But yeah, so it's themed to Sola, I guess. So yeah, I would need to check this in action and see how it works and whatever. And also it's got a smoke touch to it. So it's more like, yeah, it's burning the fuel inside, and it's just not a sci-fi type of propulsion, whatever. But yeah, as you can see, when it goes down, it makes sense that the trail goes up, and we can really have collisions on that to detect that and then just be around. I don't know, but like, yeah, I think this should be fine for now, so we can test that out with the animations and see how we are looking at essentially. Hey guys, so for Sola, the thing is of the throw animation. Okay, so we've got the Sola throw concrete block arms trail, which is this one, and this is the one you mentioned, like you couldn't find how to play or whatever. Thing is, this is using this emission here, which is rate over distance. And so what this is doing is during a quarter of a second, so 0.25 seconds, which is the time in which the animation happens, this will be active. And then when this comes to an end, it will deactivate, like adding more particles to less particles. So you can see here, this will begin happening now. So you can see like the particles spawning and everything because it's got a delay. So until this swing happens, those particles are not active. And then once this happens, it just spawns particles during this radius here, which is from up here to down here. And it doesn't spawn any more like kind of dusty cloud particles again. So it's just during that period. This is why it has a delay of 0.4. And this is why it's got the 0.25 seconds animation. So I can make a version of these, which will be looping indefinitely. So you can spawn or despawn to your liking. But yeah, keep in mind, this is the way this one is actually working. And it's not just as easy as pressing play and that's it. It depends on movement and it depends on the animation, essentially. Okay, so here are the sonar bots. You can see this is the Sunwave 01. So has like this expansive sound wave that travels in a linear fashion. I tried keeping it subtle on distortion and everything, but like I feel like it's important to at least have some sort of more solid element like those ones to better understand like the radius and range of the attack and everything. And so yeah, this is the sonar just going crazy. Then the sound wave 2, which is yeah, just the same, but like it felt like the animation had like a couple bursts instead of a continuous one. Could be different, but like you see, like the animations had bam, bam, like two different type of bursts. So yeah, I wasn't sure if those were two bursts, but yeah, it can be changed to just one continuous burst instead if needed. This is the sound wave 03, which you can see like bam, goes a bit more like that. Yeah, and this is for the melee. The melee attack 1 is just a straight kick like that. It's emphasizing the kick, but it's not going over the top or anything. It's just like, hey, this happened, and that's that. And the melee 2, which is like the same, it's got a couple kicks, but they're consecutive. So I just add this slight type of effect onto it. Not wanted to go super crazy since it's melee, but at least you can feel the speed and you can feel like, yeah, that's something powerful is happening there under the feet. It's kind of difficult because the animation is so fast also, but I feel like it will work great in game. So yeah, let's test it and see how it goes. So for the sonar bot, you'll see that I made this variation of the sound waves. In this case, it's more like this half moon shape that goes linearly, and then like it's our air distortion purely. So yeah, I made it kind of intense, so you can perceive it as something violent and something that's distorting the air and happening and whatnot. We are keeping those kind of lines there just to convey more like dust moving around or whatever. But yeah, these are mostly the new sound waves. Number 2 is like that. So yes, 2 bursts of 2, like tutun tutun, something like that. And this is a number 3. So essentially, also follows the same principle. Feel like it works great from all angles as it's using this kind of half moon shape in this sense. And I guess in game you'll be seeing it nicely. But yeah, you can see like this in the background. This is due to the outline thing, I guess. But that doesn't happen, like didn't happen before, but yeah. Yeah, so let me know what you think about the new sound waves for the soundbot. Okay, so for the post-processing threshold thing, as you can see, this is the one that you were kind of using in the example, overlay 15%. So it looks kind of like this. Essentially, I've did the same thing into Unity, but it doesn't end up looking exactly the same, and it's got some issues tied into it. If I add another threshold here, for example, you can see obviously a threshold. What it's doing is selecting the brightest spots in the image. So for example, that would be the fire. As you can see, like the fire is around here, like not the fire, but like the light, and also the reflections of the light are super bright. ReSetna is also white and bright, so that's why it's being, white here in this image. And as I grab this to the left, you see that most of the image, like 75% of the image, is dark. Okay, and these are the bright spots. So in that sense, when I crank that up like that, we'll see like these would be the dark areas around like the shadows and everything. So you can see it better here. And so essentially the margin is not like the range of color is not that big enough. Like there's not contrast enough for the the post-processing to work how we would maybe want it to work in that sense. Then the overlay thing, what it's doing instead of normal, which is, just like that. If it's using overlay, we could use like the other blending. But overlay, for example, what it's doing, it's kind of like, in a sense, it's taking the darks into being more dark and the brights into being more bright. So it's kind of crunching, the saturation and everything. So, but it's not quite exactly the saturation. It's like the bright spots get brighter and the dark spots get darker. So you see more separation in that sense. And so you are doing this instead of just creating like a copy here, duplicating, and then setting this to overlay. You'll see that this is happening, right? So the bright is still bright, even more bright, even so, and the dark is more dark. So that's what overlay is doing. And essentially I'm doing the same in the shader right now, but we're doing this post-processing using this mask. So that's why the, you can see that separation there. And okay, it's in theory, it's okay, and it's nice, and it's doing everything, but let me just show you. I've made the same thing, but what's happening is that there's this light, dynamic lights going on, and this is happening because the shadows are going up and down, and it looks like they are dancing. Okay, but the post-processing is the same. You can see like here, if I maximize this, you can see it here. It's doing the same thing as the borders here, and you can adjust the softness. You can adjust the the range and everything in this material here. So you can go to the new threshold, and this is the amount, which is like 0 is the base the base color of the scene. If it's 1, it's gonna use the post-processing, but you can see the shadows are dancing because they might be affected a little by lighting, but since 75% of the image is dark, that's happening essentially. So it's kind of difficult to fine tune. And for the smoothness, you can see like this brings, so it's more smooth. So you don't see it now, but if I set this to 0, it's just as the one that we are making here. The smoothness at 0, what it's doing is essentially this. So it's like full white or full black. Okay, it's not like a gradient. So this is how it's behaving. And the erosion here, it's essentially taking the threshold, for example, here, and the smooth, the erosion is doing is just essentially this. Okay, but the problem is since the range of colors is so low, like in value, that we need to set that to 0, that 0, 1, which is super low. And yeah, you can set it even a bit lower, but like if I set this to 2 instead, 0, 0, 2 instead of 1, it takes more there. You can see like here, it's taking more of that, and it's a bit more okay. The shadows are not dancing as much, and it's still using that, but like it's just a bit more close up to there. You can see like some artifacts there around the bright spots and dark spots. But I mean, the post-processing is there. It's just that we might need to fine tune it, but you can see the texture here, even it's doing that effect there. Okay, so then for where is this? For the saturation, for example, what I'm doing this with 0.95 is separating. This is the you'd see like the black and white thing that you've seen in Affinity Photo. So it's essentially the same, but just keeping it subtle in that sense. Okay, all right. So you can see right now the shadow bits are being untouched, but the other parts are being modified a bit. And we could do it the other way around if we set that to -1, I think. No, the erosion to -0.2. I think it would be. I don't know how to switch it up now. Okay, but I could switch that up, not with parameters, but maybe with a tick of some sorts. Should be okay. But like what I'm doing now is just like that because it resembles the results that we want, and it's essentially doing the same because what you're affecting is not the shadows. The shadows are kept the same here, as you can see. For example, in this one, if I set this to normal, you see that the shadows are black, which are not affected. So what you're affecting with the overlay is just the white part, right? So in that sense, I'm modifying the bright spots. So the dark spots stay the same, but the bright spots are having the overlay thing. So in this sense, that's why it's not modifying the shadows. It's just modifying the overlay kind of layer. So we could crank up the overlay intensity and whatnot. But right now, as for now, I'm just using saturation and desaturating a bit, which is okay. And it already gives you this effect. So if I set this to 1, you can see the difference between both. But yeah, for the creation of the overlay type of blending, it would be a matter of bringing the heights, like the brighter spots to be more bright and the darker to be more dark, which is essentially a power type of node. But yeah, I mean, let me know if this is close to what we wanted. As I said, I've been tinkering with this and I've been trying to find different solutions, but you know, in the end, I feel like this is the closest we can get without having too many artifacts or too many weird things happening. But yeah, as you can see, like there's an hourglow here, and you know, I'm pretty confident the same or similar thing would be happening with taking a pic of this and sending it to Affinity Photo. But yeah, just let me know how you like it. And I think here it's working also, so you can see more parts of the map with that. So yeah, kind of a preview of sorts. And yeah, we will also need to separate the outline, and same for the outline shader. The outline shader, as you can see, it's shouldn't be on ReSetna, but like it should be taking the other things around, right? But it's not, because everything is so close in terms of value that it's difficult for the shader to take the, as you can see, the outline effect is happening in the parts where bright meets the dark in that sense. So it edges from this bright thing into the dark tube, and in the edges of the, you know, bright fire against the dark background. So, you know, it needs to have some sort of contrast to pick it up properly in that sense. So what I don't want to do is change the look of the game, because that's not something that's, you know, great. Like the game looks great like this in terms of color and values, and it has to be like this because it's dark. So we shouldn't be changing that, but I might need to adjust some more stuff from the outline post-processing in order to to be affecting those edges in darker areas, and then maybe switch it and adjust it in brighter areas of sorts. So yeah, that's mostly that with the post-processing. I really like the kind of texture that it gives, the overlay thing. But yeah, it's also giving those issues that I mentioned. So let me know which would the next steps be. And yeah, that's mostly that. So for the vertical attack falling, those are the effects that play under the feet of ReSetna. This is just spawned in. Well, some of them spawned in world space and the other ones spawned in local space, which makes it so you've got some kind of like continuity to it. So yeah, you can see, for example, the sparks are happening in world space, so those will be falling behind whenever that's happening, since you don't know like the distance that it's going to be traveling. But yeah, it should fall like that. Some of the distortions also happen on the world space, and then here's the slam attack, like the slam down, like so. It's like a slam. As you can see, I made all the elements similar in terms of shape, spacing, coloring, and intensities, just because that way you can feel like they belong to ReSetna, they belong to player at all times, especially like if they are movement, like the movement-based attacks. So it's nice to have that same feeling conveyed for all of them to keep continuity in that sense. So if it was gonna be like the overclock, I don't know, supercharged attack or something like that, would be different. But in this case, yeah, just kept the same kind of feeling for everything. So you can see here, this is just the shockwave in that sense. So a fast-paced shockwave, and you can see like it's coming from behind, from above also. So yeah, let me know the size is the arm's size when it falls. But yeah, let me know if something would need to be adjusted here too. Okay, so for the wall jump assets, you can see the ledge grab here. also inspired by the one in Mandragora, but it's also really subtle in that sense. We can make it even more subtle, I guess. So those three are essentially the same. So you can see like different scales and context and use cases. This setting, like for the environment, will be different in other environments. So we'll need to maybe take a look at how to approach those. But I feel like it's feeling great. Like it feels like something that you can grab it onto it, and it really conveys that wall jump ability to be able to grab on those. Also, there's some other variants before those ones, which were a bit more like intense, maybe bigger, maybe brighter, maybe without the sparks. So this one doesn't have any sparks, but it's just glowing on the edges. This one has a brighter like point there at the middle. Like those ones don't have a border to them. It's just a point there at the ledge. Same for that one, but it's brighter. But I really like the fact that you can have both the one in the center and the one on the ledge in that sense. So for example, if I go to this one, I'm able to come here and grab the ledge for the handler and then just scale it like so, as however I like, and the sparks will also scale to the range of the ledge. Obviously, all those ledge assets should be placed together manually. I mean, in that sense, because it would depend on the ledge. We don't have a way to establish those automatically by asset, but yeah, it's easily scalable in that sense. So maybe just have it like that, so it's a bit more subtle. We can reduce like the opacity a bit more, but just let me know however you like it. For now, it's like that. I feel like it's working pretty nicely. Hey, so here's the version for the wall jump asset. I kept the effect pretty subtle because it shouldn't be too obvious. I really like the fact that in the darkness one, it's this tone of purple, which fits the asset itself. Then this one is for the Cydia wall, which is more like oxide going on. Then this like sci-fi just teal blue. And for this one, a more like grayish tone. As you can see, it's using the base global shader, but it's got some more features here. So you can adjust the colors, the intensities, whatever. So I can set this to be like, I don't know, this type of pink, for example. And then I can set this to be, super emissive, which is not what we should be looking for. Here's the speed. So in that sense, you can adjust it so it's more like fast or slow, however you want it. In this sense, this feels like it's going to explode. So I would suggest just go in a slow pace, so the player notices it, but it's not super obvious or anything like that. I also made it so it's not always glowing with the color. So it's got the base color too, but it's like a subtle just flickering of light going on, because I could make it all the time like going from 1 emissive to 0 emissive. So it would always be a bit colored in that sense. But I feel this works a bit better. So you can obviously change the colors and whatnot. But let me know how this works.